Welcome to the worldwide broadcast of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Sundaresh Haragu joins us and going to talk about the meaning of tariffs on the automotive supply chain. Plus, we'll also have the upcoming events calendar, and Mr. Mars reviews the new Ford Focus. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars down there at the end. King Conrad DeLong in the middle. Jeff, we always need more Jeff Zekin next to me. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday morning for our live broadcast. We thank you very much for that. What?
I was going to say, it smells a little like Bordeaux or maybe a rosé. You got like some kind of aroma of wine emanating from you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, short story here before we get into the car stuff. So, Jeff and Kathy and Leslie and I were at our usual Friday night place, Los Tios, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm thinking something nice and cold just ran down my back. And it wasn't a chill. It was an entire glass of wine that the waitress spilled right down my back. So everybody got into motion and started getting napkins and stuff, and I'm thinking,
oh, touch me.
Yeah. So I am wearing the same T-shirt, actually.
That's what I said. A little,
it wasn't
a white wine. It was white wine.
Yeah, it was. It was not a Pinot Grigio. It was whatever it was.
What Leslie drinks.
Yeah.
But it was all over the floor. I'm going to get napkins. They're pulling up his shirt. They're patting him down like he was a boxer in the ring or something, you know.
So that's why I have that little bit of aroma.
The good news is it was white wine and not red wine.
That's true. Yeah. So there's the story.
There's that.
Interesting.
Hold that thought.
Is there a problem?
Yeah, but I'll take care of it next commercial break.
Okay.
We've been here for an hour. What have we been doing, Mr. Mars, for the past hour?
Well, we're fixing everything that we knew was fixed, but we didn't know we needed to fix this. Sundaresh just brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
I see.
When I got here, they were all under the table trying to fix the wires.
Mm-hmm.
That were supposedly fixed week before last.
Well, sometimes
they have fixed them now.
They were kind of, sort of, maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Oklahoma State University, Sundaresh Haragu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me back. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thank you. That we certainly do appreciate that. You made such an impression on us. We thought, we need to have this guy as a go-to kind of guy.
Our supply chain subject matter expert.
Yes, supply chain. So let's talk about supply chain. How would you define automotive supply chain?
From the producer to the end user at assembly and all of the components in between that ship it around locally for where the producer is, ship it around internationally to where the assembly plants are, and all of the components that arrive.
Yeah.
Just in time, because
but not all of those things have a tariff on them. It's usually ones that are imported from across the sea, from wherever that may be. So now that we've got that established,
let's get the real answer.
Let's get the real answer. And so what is are we having supply chain issues still after the pandemic? The biggest one, of course, was the microchip supply, and that thing pretty much crashed and burned almost immediately.
Yeah. No, I think the automotive supply chain, like many other products, but more so for the automotive industry, it's a complex web. You've got obviously the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 suppliers that may be located pretty close to the facility, or sometimes maybe even hundreds of miles.
Well, let's stop right there if you don't mind. Let's talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. What do the tiers mean? What does that mean?
So I'll start with the bottom. The tier 3 would be your, companies that supply upholstery and seat belts and just small components for the car.
Gotcha.
And oftentimes these are mom and pop stores that are operating, on very thin margins. And so for them, even a small disturbance in the supply chain, or now we're talking about tariffs and all that, right, can have a significant impact. These companies are oftentimes finding it difficult to meet payroll. So, for example, when we had the auto industry strike, many of these companies were finding it really hard to meet payroll. So there's those sorts of companies at the bottom end. at the lower end, and then at the top tier one, you got the suppliers that produce engine parts, produce batteries for electric cars, and then all of the other ones in between, the companies that make your tires and things like that, right? The electronic equipment that you need for the cars.
Right.
So it's a pretty complex web, and there's since you're talking about tariffs today, I mean, I don't think there's when countries impose tariffs, the impact of that doesn't follow a straight line. I mean, sometimes there are short-term consequences. Sometimes some people call it benefits for the country that's imposing the tariffs. But in the long term, the impacts could have some unintended consequences. But yeah, just the automobile supply chain is really one of the more complex one. Companies like Ford and GM, but also Volvo, will make cars for the U.S. market exclusively in China. And so when the people who are campaigning to be president next year, so former President Trump and President Biden, they're talking about imposing tariffs. So that impacts the U.S. Customers directly, because they now have to pay a so-called tax, right? Because these cars are made in China, although they have the U.S. brand. They are made exclusively in China, and when they're brought here, they are slapped with a 10% or whatever tariff that is imposed. So it's a tax on consumers.
But as in purpose, besides just being a tax, tariffs can sometimes be a penalty against that producing country. Because I know sometimes the China tariffs are done as a penalty against China doing business here.
Yeah, and again, the tariffs cut both ways, right? So there are definitely some benefits, but there are also some costs associated with it. If you go back to 1983, when President Reagan imposed tariffs on cheap Japanese imports, Harley-Davidson actually lobbied the government to impose tariffs because they were a company that had almost 100% of the share in the 1960s and 70s. All of a sudden, they went down to about 15% of the market share in late 70s and early 80s. So they lobbied the government to impose tariffs. And so President Reagan, I guess, against his conservative principles, he decided to go along. And but that's a success story, right? So tariffs definitely had a positive impact. I mean, Harley-Davidson, not only is it alive today, but it's also thriving. They used to produce something like 37,000, 40,000 bikes then. Now they make 187,000. Of course, the world population has increased, so there's more demand.
But wasn't the original purpose of tariffs was to kind of level the playing field so it wouldn't get all cattywampus? So, in other words, the Japanese cheap model cars that came over here, they would impose tariffs on them to level the playing field with the automotive network here in the United States, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll go back to the China example. China being, ruled by the Communist Party, they can actually make unilateral decisions on propping up certain industries, providing subsidies, and, even dumping goods in the United States, right? Like solar panels is a good example. They're probably, dumped here in the United States, and there are companies in the U.S. that, struggle to compete with them. So yes, it does, level the playing field. So like I said earlier, I mean, this clearly has some benefits and some disadvantages to it, and we just need to, weigh it carefully. I mean, currently the Biden administration is saying that we'll adopt a small yard, a high fence approach. So they are going to do it selectively for areas where they think, other governments have unfair trade practices that are impacting or hurting the U.S. Manufacturers, so they want to impose tariffs there, but not just across the board.
And and to that end, a lot of the offshore car manufacturers, they are now building factories and have for many years now here in the United States to get around many of those tariffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, not just in the United States, but also in Mexico and Canada. So, I'm going back to China because that's, there are, we do import quite a bit from China.
Yes.
We used to think like 100 billion, the World Trade, when China was admitted to the WTO, and today it's like 500 billion. But Chinese companies now are finding that they can perhaps come into Mexico and start making cars there so they can avoid these tariffs. And of course, our congressional folks caught wind of that, and they are saying maybe we relook at how we tax or not tax imports that are coming in from Canada. Yes, so companies do move into the United States or neighboring countries that we have free trade agreements with. And sometimes that's a good thing, right? Like if companies were to come here, that creates jobs in the United States, and maybe the profits go back to wherever the parent, wherever the country that the parent company belongs to. So the profits go there, but at least the jobs are here. And likewise, when U.S. companies move to China to make cars, the profits come back here, and so there are a lot of complex factors. Like I said earlier, it's not a straight line.
So ultimately, the consumer pays the tariff, because the tariff that's imposed on the products coming from China, that's passed through as a price increase. But who benefits from the tariff? Just the federal government? It just goes into the federal government coffers? Yeah,
I mean, in 2018 and 2019, when the former President Trump imposed taxes on $300 billion worth of goods, well, that raised $80 billion in taxes for the U.S. government, so helped offset some of the deficit, right? But then, there are some councils that have studied this. They said, well, this action cost the U.S. economy 250,000 jobs, and the trade deficit actually went up. Right? The thought was that maybe with the tariffs we can bring the trade deficit down, but it's still at like $60 billion with per month with China.
The term freight on board, or FOB, does that just relate to domestic movement of product, or is that for also the international?
It is international too, yes.
Interesting. So what do you see ahead? Because I know that you guys always look ahead and forecast what we can expect in the next year or 2 or 5 or 10. What do you see in the near future for us when it comes to these tariffs?
So, again, we are in the election season, so I think there's going to be a lot of talk about tariffs and things like that. And again, there's also a congressional push to impose taxes on tariffs on certain imports from certain countries. But there are also other factors in the world that are happening, some of which are human-made, some of which are beyond our control. So, for example, the Ukrainian invasion by Russia and the Israel-Gaza conflict. So that is now slowly expanding to include other countries like the Houthi rebels in Yemen, and so the Red Sea traffic is being disrupted, and so companies like Maersk said we're not going to use the Red Sea for the foreseeable future. So they're going to take the shipping down through the Horn of Africa, say from Singapore to shipment that's going from Singapore to Western Europe. It's going to go around all of Africa, right? And so there's that. And then, I previously talked about perhaps on another interview that the Panama Canal, which is used for shipments of goods from, Asia to the eastern seaboard in the United States, that has got some weather issues. And so the, capacity there has been reduced. So I think, there are all these factors that are happening. One thing we can do is perhaps for businesses, we may want to try to minimize the uncertainties that they have. I mean, they already have, like you said earlier, the chip shortage that they face now that has been sorted out. But, we've got elections in Taiwan. They've got a new president there that is, for sovereignty for their country. and that irks China. So we don't know where that's going to go. So there are all these factors that are beyond our control that are happening overseas. But then what I guess the U.S. government could do is try to create some, reduce the uncertainties, and then provide incentives. I mean, the Build Back Better, the CHIPS and Science Act, and what is the other one? The Inflation Reduction Act, right? They are actually, in my opinion, great moves to help provide good infrastructure so that U.S. companies can be manufacturing goods in the United States. Again, try to level the playing field because they have all these, top infrastructure here in the United States that allows them to compete with other economies of the world.
What do you think is the impact with U.S. Steel? I know that they've been working on selling U.S. Steel to an offshore company, and I have some doubts about that. Why would we let that happen?
Yeah, especially at a time when U.S. manufacturers, the United States manufacturers of steel, can only meet 50% of the demand. So again, we are having to rely on India and China for import of steel, right? At such a time, why do you want to facilitate transfer of U.S. steel to a foreign company? Like you said, was it Don? I'm not able to see you.
Yes, it's Don.
So like you said, Don, it's why would you want to do it? It may not happen, but we'll see. I think there's going to be to solidify the U.S.-based industries for the foreseeable future.
Well, I know once word got out that U.S. Steel was going to do this or attempt to do this, there was a great big pushback from most of the people that would be impacted by having a foreign company own such a huge business here in the United States, because we would really be at the mercy of whatever country that the company was based in.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not just for the automobile industry, but many other industries. Like I'll give one example: the soup manufacturer. They make tin cans. Well, the raw material is steel there, so they suffer, and then that price gets passed. The price increases because we don't have enough supply, enough supply in the United States.
Right.
The price goes up, and that's passed on to the consumer. Oftentimes, people at the low-income families and people like that.
Sure.
But didn't the idea of U.S. Steel selling to an offshore entity kind of go contrary to the idea behind tariffs that are used to balance the playing field?
Yeah. It's like taking supply, a good chunk of the supply away from the United States, right? And us having to rely on imports. Exactly. It has a opposite impact of tariff. Tariffs will, at least in the short term, will allow you to grow the domestic production, and this is counterproductive in my opinion, especially when steel is an important industry for a variety of sectors, and we are barely producing half of our domestic demand.
Sundaresh, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We thank you very much for getting up and joining us in that good-looking orange sweater that you got. And I assume with that orange sweater, you're telling us, without telling us, that it's cold in Oklahoma this morning.
It is cold, and the orange color is in honor of Conrad, who's in
Go Cowboys.
Well, that was the prompt to go ahead, and you and Conrad could get married for just a couple of seconds here and love each other. So anyway, Sundaresh, it's great to talk to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Likewise, and enjoyed it. Look forward to talking again in the future.
You got it. We will be in touch. Thank you, sir. All right, time now here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show for the Car Calendar. We've renamed it. We're not going to do the events. We're not going to do the actual cruise-ins, but we're a combination of whatever Conrad comes up with.
And if you don't get it right, we're going to put a tariff on you.
That's it.
So the Winter Conroe Swap Meet up in Montgomery County Fairgrounds is February 16th through 18th off of 9333 Airport Road up in Conroe. Stephanie Nichols' 13th Annual Car and Plane Show in Georgetown Airport is going to be February 24th. Cars and Cocktails is going to be at Woodrow's in Tomball in 1st of February, first weekend of February. The 11th annual Rouse Rock and Rides is March 2nd. And do you have dates yet for
Hot
Rod Tour of Texas?
That's the end of April.
Yeah, last weekend in April.
Hot Rod Tour of Texas.com
25 or
on
26
Facebook.
28, something like that.
Which is going to be huge again this year. It seems to grow every year.
And let's not forget the Automotive Show.
Correct.
That would be the last one that you're going to talk
The
about.
last one I was going to talk about, yes. And
But you didn't talk about it.
And we'll have Rochelle on the show here later today to talk in detail
He
about it.
didn't,
I
he
see.
didn't want to spoil her thunder.
Okay. Well, that's one way to tiptoe around
Yeah.
that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have it on your sheet
Just
there, did
helping
you?
you out, Conrad.
He's just looking at me like,
I didn't have my sheet together.
I see. No, you didn't. All right. Well, anyway, so you'll hear about the Automotive Show here in just a moment. All right, time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars, did you do your homework or did the dog eat it too?
Well, I kind of did my homework, but Conrad is segueing for me because I cannot tell you why. I apologize.
Your paperwork's
I
missing?
told you it was the Focus, but everything else says it's the Escape. So I told you wrong.
That's what it
Oh, my
says.
God.
It's a Kona.
You know,
Let's do the Kona.
Let's do the Kona.
Kona.
Yeah.
No, let's do the Pontiac Bonneville, shall we?
That was a good
No,
car.
it's
I
too
liked
big. So I had the 2023 Ford Escape Platinum all-wheel drive, even though I told Don I had the Focus. Now, this vehicle, and I don't know why I did that. I apologize. But the Escape comes at 8 trim levels for 2023, and we had the Platinum, which is the top of the line. This is a compact SUV. It's a very competitive segment. This vehicle will seat 5 people. It's been updated a little bit from 2022. It's got active grille shutters. It's got rain-sensing wipers, LED lighting, fog lamps, headlamps, tail lights, all of that good stuff. Got roof rack side rails on it, and it's rolling on some 19-inch dark aluminum wheels. It's a nice-looking car. It's not going to stand out a whole lot different from a lot of the other cars in that segment, but it's a very nice-looking car. It's one of those cars that when you first see it, yeah, okay. But after spending a week in it, I realized I was enjoying driving this car. Inside, because we had the Platinum, we had the leather seating with the sport buckets up front. They are heated. There are no ventilated seats on this particular vehicle. Couldn't tell you why. Just not there. There is a rear seat console, and that kind of goes along with there's a lot of things on this car that you don't normally or you may not normally see in the compact SUV segment. 12.3-inch diagonal digital screen for the driver info, or basically we used to call it instrument panel. 13.2-inch heads-up display in the center stack. You're going to find your Sync 4 infotainment center there, your nav, your convenience controls, 360-degree camera that works quite well, and there's also wireless charging and USB ports. Now, up under the hood, there's actually 3 different power options you can have, but we had the 2.0-liter inline-4 EcoBoost. At 250 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 280 pound-feet of torque with an 8-speed automatic. This thing has plenty of power, even though it weighs 3,543 pounds.
How much?
3,543
Seriously?
pounds.
Ton and a half.
Why?
I didn't think it was that heavy.
I looked at it twice.
To look at it, it doesn't look like it's that heavy.
No, but
Jeez.
they're all getting bigger. I mean, it's like being on steroids, you know?
Stupid.
The EPA says you should be looking for 23 in the city, 31 on the highway, combined for 26. Now, I got 26.4 miles to the gallon in this vehicle across 205.1 miles.
With your fat foot?
Well, I've kind of, I'm a year older now, and I've kind of lightened up on that a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I'm more mature now.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And his new middle name is Pinocchio.
After 83 years.
But
Must
again,
mean
like I
Becky
said,
was
after
in it with
being
him.
in this car for a week, it grew on me. It felt better as far as the driver perspective. It's not a race car by any means. It's got a nice view as far as the driver's perspective. The back's a little bit, you lose some because of the pillars in it, but that just comes with a category. And I will say, you put it up into the sport mode, it tightens up the steering and everything a lot. Still not a race car, but it just feels a whole lot better when you do that. And because it's a little heavier, it's got a pretty composed ride out on the highway. I was kind of surprised. It's still got a lot of things on the inside of it that you know that you're in a less expensive car. But like I say, I was impressed. Base model price on this vehicle is $29,495. You can get into it. Now, the base trim price for the Platinum level is $38,460.
Jeez.
However, our MSRP on the vehicle we were driving is $41,965.
For a compact sport utility.
Yes.
That starts at 29,
Yes.
and
Now-
yours was 41.
Yes. But if you look across at the others, Honda CR-V, based on its 28410, the top of the line on it's 34260, but that does not include the all-wheel drive. The RAV4 starts at 28.2. The Mazda CX-5 starts at 26, so they're all in that upper 20s as far as starting goes. And then from there, it kind of depends on where you want to go with all-wheel drive and all the other accoutrements that you want to get. But again, as I said, to look at it, it's a very competitive segment. There's a lot of cars that are going to look a whole lot alike in a lot of instances. But after driving it for a week, I was pretty comfortable, and I think it's something you should look at.
$41,000, you ought to be.
Well, I was.
Good.
And I'm glad to see that new word for the day app you have is paying off with accoutrement.
I think I got that from Don, actually.
Oh, boy.
Among other things that I can't repeat.
Yeah.
Speaking
of Ford Motor Company, they're recalling nearly 140,000 of the Ford Focuses that Mars was supposed to have a review of today, and the EcoSport crossover for faulty engine oil pumps that are linked to a federal investigation and alleged crash with 2 injuries. 2016 to 18 Focus, 2018 to 2022 EcoSport vehicles with the 1-liter engine and the 6F15 automatic transmission. Oil pump drive belt or drive belt tensioner on those vehicles could fail, resulting in a loss of engine oil pressure that might trigger an engine stall and loss of power braking.
Catastrophic engine failure.
Yeah.
So think about that. They put a belt in the oil crankcase system expecting it to last. It should have been recalled long ago.
It's keeping it lubed.
Keep it moisturized.
Yeah, well, the belt doesn't last.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. You know, I try to keep this all under control here, but sometimes it's difficult. Hey, this program is available 24/7 on iHeartRadio.
Yep.
Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available from your favorite podcast provider. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Oops.
Rev your engines and
I'm going to start that again because I didn't do that right.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and
You
save
own a
at
car you love.
automotiveshow.com.
But why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana? Stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. streamed and downloaded to your bedroom, bathroom, and automobile around the globe. It's the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, we talked to Divya Sangam from Lending Tree about projected increases in your car insurance. It's coming if you haven't had it already. Plus, we'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday. And joining us now, I don't know where she is. Where are you located physically in the country, Divya?
I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
All right.
Well,
Yes.
you've been experiencing some weather issues up there, and I think you got more coming, don't you?
Yeah, it's been back-to-back storms.
Yep.
We haven't seen any snow yet, but it's definitely been a lot of rain and sleet, and it's just a mess.
Yeah. Well, we're about to get
Welcome to New Jersey.
That's it. We're about to experience some cold weather here, so I'm wearing my plaited. What do you call this?
Lumberjack.
Thing? Lumberjack. Yeah. That's it.
What is it? A flannel shirt?
It is a flannel, just to get my body ready. Okay. Well, anyway, you don't want to hear about all that, and we want to talk to you about auto insurance increases for 2024.
Yes.
Apparently, it's a thing that actually began last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And what are increases looking like across the board, pretty much?
So our study basically looks at how much insurance companies are going to raise rates because, hey, we all know the rate hikes are coming. And for a lot of us, we may not have done anything differently from 2023 to 2024, but our rates are going to go up. And the reason why is that your insurance company is raising rates across the board for every driver. And I'm talking all 50 states are seeing rate hikes. And the average rate hike that insurance companies are going to get this year is about 12.6%.
Yikes.
Boy, that's pretty heavy duty.
Yeah. To put it in perspective, this puts 2024's auto insurance rates way above what it was before the pandemic. I'm talking a 29% increase from 2018.
Holy Toledo! Is it is it just because of the cost of everything going up, or is it repairs? Are people getting in more wrecks, costing more to actually fix the cars? What is the real reason behind it?
I mean, you've captured most of it, right? The math behind auto insurance is pretty. It's pretty simple. If the number and the volume of claims go up and the cost of those claims go up, it's going to cost the auto insurance company more money, and they're going to pass on that cost to consumers. But there's also the other part of it, and that's risk. So every insurance company has to take out insurance for themselves in case of any catastrophe that leads to huge claims and other disasters. But as we know, in the past 5 to 10 years, what we would consider catastrophes are becoming pretty common. Climate change means that once in 100-year flood events are happening pretty much every 2 years. And then the other part of this is, risk. There's been an increase in car thefts. I mean, we looked at the numbers, and we're talking a 700% increase in catalytic converter thefts.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who we go to for our auto repairs, he was warning us about thieves stealing sensors from the front of your car. The sensors that help with driver assist and, your all of the other technologies that your car has that's meant to make your drive safer. Well,
Yes.
those sensors are located at the front of your car, and they're pretty easy to steal. And so that's the new trend of things getting stolen, and that's not a quick fix. That's an expensive piece of equipment that's going to cost you and ultimately the insurer money. So all of this is adding up, and it's driving up the cost of insurance for every single American. And yeah, it's kind of unfair because it is a difficult year. It's been a difficult few years. Inflation has been doing a number on us, and it seems like car insurance inflation is here to stay.
Well, last year,
I will-
my insurance
go
went
ahead.
up considerably, and I called them about it. And they said the state of Texas Insurance Board had approved a rate increase across the board due to inflation.
Yeah.
And so mine went up like 45% just because the rates went up because of inflation.
Inflation didn't go up 45%.
Well, but the insurance board let it go up that far, and of course, every insurance company
is
took
going
up
to take
everything.
every bit they can.
That's the way it affected my numbers.
So
for my cars.
You know, you say that the reason rates are going up because their costs are going up, but why did we not get any rate flattening or decrease when their costs went down during the pandemic? Because nobody was driving. Accident rates were way lower. The miles driven were, 1/10 of what they were, but, never saw the benefit back to the consumer of them making a higher net profit during that time period.
I would like to correct you there because there was a rate decrease during the pandemic. It wasn't a lot. It was like 12%, but it was 2%. So they did decrease rates. And, when we were all stuck at home during lockdowns, insurance companies were giving out rebates and refunds prompted by various state governments, but also, because they felt like they wanted to pay it back or pay it forward. And so we did experience some pandemic era discounts. In fact, auto insurance rates have been fairly flat since 2019. They dipped in 2020. And the increases were just like 1%, 0.5%, until we hit 2023 when the rate increase went up to 11.3%. And then 2024, the anticipated 12.6%. Now, mind you, this is just how much insurance companies are raising rates. Real rate hikes will be a lot higher because every single driver is different, right? And I think the Census Bureau just published some data which said that rates have gone up 19%. So it is a very frustrating situation all around.
So, Divya, let me ask you a question about the parts, theft of parts, catalytic converters. Yeah. Now you're talking about the sensors on the front. In my mind, isn't it true that since the insurance companies have started trying to get and use used parts on for repairs to kind of cut down on cost, aren't they kind of driving that? I mean, if they didn't allow places to buy them and use them, then there wouldn't be necessarily such a big market, in my mind.
Well, that's a really interesting question. And honestly, I wouldn't know because, this was just an anecdote that was shared with me by my auto mechanic, who's a really nice guy. We talk a lot about insurance and, car repairs and what's going on in his world. But there is no hard data on the theft of these sensors. But there is data on the catalytic converter theft. And you're right, there was a market for selling these parts of cars that you would normally not think would get stolen. I don't know if it's driven by the insurance companies, but there was definitely a market because, the height of the pandemic, there was a huge shortage of these parts. And so there was just a lot of demand for it.
Well, I can only imagine I would assume that it would be cheaper to go to a wrecking yard, buy a used catalytic converter. Mm-hmm. Of course, you're rolling the dice. You really don't know. How
good is it? Yeah.
Yeah. How many miles has it really got on it? Has it been underwater? Has it been damaged some way? So you pay a catalytic converter, $2,000 new out of the box and above. So you go to the junkyard, is like I like to call it, and you buy a used one of a car that is exactly like yours. You cut it off of there, and you take it home, and you take it to your muffler guy and have him weld it in. It's a roll of the dice whether or not the thing is any good.
Right.
But then you take over like where I live. We don't have the smog inspections like you have here in Houston. So how would you ever know if it didn't work unless it was really causing a problem mechanically?
Well, I was just going to say,
indicators,
the light comes on.
It'll turn on a check engine light.
But, what happens over here also affects you, even though you don't have the law over there.
Right. No, I agree. And the catalytic converters is kind of what I was talking about because I've read about these repair shops that are now being authorized to use used parts.
Oh yeah, well, and there's industries built around used parts. Think about the company here in Houston called LKQ,
yes.
Like, kind, and quality. And ultimately, what they're doing is they're going out and they're buying auction salvage cars and stripping out the parts they can and selling those component parts out of the salvage cars.
That's just only one aspect of their business, though. They do body panels and things of that nature.
Yeah.
They do the whole car.
And
but again,
it's interesting that you bring that up, because there was a time, this is a couple of years ago, that I was looking for a used part. And there is a network, a nationwide network of used parts. And you go
Chop Shop.
You go online and you look online, and that part may be that you're looking for at a salvage yard in Wisconsin, and they'll mail it to you.
Yep.
And so it's not just the local junkyard. I used to go to H.B. Bailey's junkyard down there off of Telephone Road back decades and decades ago to buy used parts for that old truck that I had. And they had several of those trucks, and so I just stripped them off whatever I needed, and paid him pennies on the dollar for the stuff.
So what Divya was talking about these ADAS, the automatic driver assist system components that are really just mounted below the front bumper, behind the front fascia. I mean, all somebody has to do is duck down underneath, and some of those components are
snapped in.
Yeah, you
almost
just
like changing a light bulb.
Yeah, and there's a connector right there as well, so you can disconnect that and take it. And that component used would probably sell for $400 or $500. New would be well over $1,000.
What I don't understand is with the car that has a computer in it, and you turn the car on, and it knows all of those sensors that are around it to be able. Why don't they have that connected to some sort of anti-theft device? At least blow the horn when somebody disconnects it.
It probably wouldn't be difficult to do. They could hook it up to OnStar as well, and OnStar can see.
I mean, this is the first I've heard of this being an issue, even though there's no hard data she's talking about, but it's not like the catalytic converters that they've been doing it for a while, so somebody may come up and do something like that once they realize there's a problem.
Yeah.
Or we just inform the public how to steal.
Well, there's that.
Well, let me put it this way. I think, you guys and, your audience are very informed about cars. You know how to go and shop around for parts. You probably know who to take it to fix it, or you can fix it yourself. But I speak for the part of the country that is very car illiterate, and I would consider myself more on the side of car illiterate than, very car aware. And if something like that happens to me, I wouldn't know that I can go shop around for a secondhand catalytic converter. I wouldn't know that there is an aftermarket for, secondhand car parts. So I would just take it to my repair guy and go file a police report, go to the insurance company, and they will take care of it, because all I'm paying out of my pocket is the deductible, right? So the insurance company is the one that's going to bear the rest of the cost. And as a consumer, I'm not thinking about how that's going to affect my rates in the future, but it is all adding up and it is affecting our rates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think in your insurance policy, most of them now have listed that the insurance carrier can use LKQ parts, and they actually use that phraseology as LKQ, allowing them to use the used parts system to repair your vehicle.
Most of the time, I think I'd rather have a nice straight body panel that was originally manufactured for the car assembler than go and have a Chinese knockoff, because it fits.
Right.
Where the Chinese knockoff doesn't usually fit.
No.
So I would rather have
adjustments necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just wanted to bring up another point, because you were talking about, how there's an aftermarket for used car parts, but that tends to be more common with internal combustion engine cars, not so much with electric cars. Electric cars are still fairly new, so it's really hard for you to find used parts. And electric cars are just a lot more expensive to insure. They're 23% more expensive to insure in 2024. And it's a controversial topic, but all three Tesla models that are currently popular in the market are the three most expensive EVs to insure.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. That's good information.
I did not know that.
Where do we talk to Buzz next time?
Are we even talking to Buzz anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, we're working on that.
No.
So the additional expense for the Teslas, is that because of all the technology and what it costs to fix the computer screens and everything?
100%. It's because of the technology, and they run on batteries. And I've been reading a lot of stories and hearing anecdotes about how when a car gets into a crash, an EV, and the battery cover gets scratched or the battery gets slightly dinged,
has to be replaced.
It's too expensive to repair that insurance companies are just totaling these vehicles because they don't see there's any value in repairing or replacing a battery that might set them back 10, 15 grand.
Oh, at least 10 or 15 grand. You know, some of these battery packs are well north of $20,000.
But I also think
Exactly.
there's a liability concern someplace down the road. If something happens and somebody finds out, well, you left a battery in there that's cracked, a housing's cracked or something like that, then there's
The liability
issue.
And then when the manufacturer says in their documentation that any damage to the battery requires replacement, which Tesla does, that now that forces the insurance carrier to replace that battery as well at whatever their cost is
The
to
going
replace
rate.
the battery.
Yikes.
And you cannot take your Tesla to your guy down the road. They need to be fixed by authorized Tesla-approved repair shops. So that, increases the cost. But then there's also the other aspect, right? A lot of insurers are seeing Tesla drivers as slightly more risky. We did another report, and I can send this to you. It's a fun one, which looks at the car makes, car brands whose drivers get into the most accidents, and no surprises, Tesla was number one.
Oh, my God.
Do you think some of that's driven by their automated driving systems or just...
Personally, I think it is because I've driven in I was a passenger in a friend's Tesla, and I got this feeling that she was so trusting of the self-driving and the technology built into the car that she wasn't really checking her blind spots and turning. That was the last time I got into that car. I said I would rather walk.
Are you still speaking to her?
Do you want to name names?
I still talk to her. She's a lovely lady, but I said, I'm not getting in the car with you. I would rather walk. And if it's 50 miles,
there's
I
a
would
point to
rather
that.
walk.
I've seen them on the road. I think it's because there's no noise and you've got all that torque. You just fly. My boss, the owner of the company, has one. And I've ridden with him, and like you, it's a little scary. He doesn't use the automated functions. He's just got a lead foot, and that's all it is.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
And he just zing.
And I don't know what you've heard, but New Jersey drivers can be a little crazy. So you really want to have all of your senses on the road and not trust your car to avoid other crazy drivers.
So, Divya, what is the bottom line on this insurance rate stuff? I mean, is there a place that we can go that basically compares the top tier insurance companies with each other? Do we buy some cheap insurance and then find out after we get into a bad wreck that they're not going to cover it? How do we go about that?
So here's the thing, right? Of course, you can go read our report. Just go on Google and search for State of Auto Insurance 2024 Value Penguin, and ours will be the first result. But the second thing you should, and I recommend everyone do this, is call up your agent or your insurance company and ask them, number one, what your policy covers, what its limits are, because I understand, look, people like us, we're familiar with the documentation. We know what the language is, but that isn't the case for a lot of people. So if you're reading your insurance policy and something isn't clear to you, you don't know what that means, call your insurance company and ask them what it means, number one. Number two, shop around. We did a survey at the end of 2023. And, we asked people, are you shopping around? Because it seems very critical this year and last year to shop around given all the rate hikes. And like 69% of Americans shop around. So there's still a section of people who aren't shopping around for rates. And what we found is if you shop around, you're going to save. The average saving was actually slightly higher than the rate hikes for many people.
Oh, wow.
That might not be the case for everyone, especially if you're on top of your insurance and you're checking it and you're, shopping around all the time. You may not get as big of a saving, but for a lot of people who have stayed with their insurance company for years and then they're seeing their rates go up 45, 50%, like, what you brought up, it definitely makes sense to shop around. Don't accept it as, this is a bad year, I have to pay more out of pocket. There's definitely offers.
So what you're saying is spend about 5 minutes with your insurance agent and say, hey, what's up?
Yeah. What's up? Ask them what's going on. Ask them, hey, you've raised my rate so much. Is there a discount I can get? Can I put a telematics device in my car? I know I'm a safe driver. I think I can qualify for that discount. Can I get a bundling discount? Hey, my teenager got good grades. can you give us a good grades discount on the back of that? Like, there's so many discounts out there that aren't very readily known. So call them up and ask about discounts and just keep pushing.
Not only that, but age. Seniors get a different rate.
Yeah, it goes up even higher.
Yeah, at some point it starts going up.
Divya, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you, and it's great to see you again, and best of luck to you in 2024, and hopefully we'll talk to you again later this year.
I look forward to it, and Happy New Year, you guys, and Happy New Year to all of your listeners.
Same to you. Thanks, hon. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Divya Sangam with Lending Tree.
Very good information.
Penguin,
Value Penguin.
Value Penguin.
That's 2 interviews we've had with people who make me feel smarter.
Yeah, well.
that made me smarter, excuse me.
I was going to say, wake up.
Yeah,
because I'm not. We've got an interview coming up in the next segment of our show with Duhawk Racing.
Oh.
That I think that you're going to really enjoy. They look like a fun bunch. Loras College Racing Club, sponsored by RFA Engineering, Duhawk Racing. We're going to talk to JJ, Cam, Jacob, and Jake if they can get there in their snowmobile.
Is that like Larry, Daryl, and Daryl?
Daryl, my other brother Daryl.
That's exactly right. Some of the stories making headlines this week. First of all, let's do some recalls, shall we?
Okay.
Driver's seat airbag improperly mounted on the Audi Q7, Q8, RSQ8, SQ7, and SQ8 23 and 24 model years. Insufficient illumination from low beams on the BMW R18B, R18, and R18 Transcontinental.
R18.
I don't know what that is, but whatever
it's a
it is.
BMW. It means people don't ever use their blinkers.
Is that what it means? That's probably
I'm trying
right.
to put a picture of the R18.
There's a pedestrian warning sound malfunction on the BMW.
Get out
of the way.
I guess it's an i5 or an i5 M60 for 2024. Yeah. Me.
Thud.
Thud. Axle spindles may fracture.
Ooh.
In the Volvo VNL. That's a truck.
Ah.
I just saw that. Volvo Trucks North America. So forget that one. I just
don't have it fixed.
I was going to say, unless it's driving next to you or behind you.
Yeah. Ford F-150. We've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again because now it's on the national recall list. Ford F-150 for 21 to 23 model years, rear axle hub bolt may break.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oops.
Only once.
That's it. As you go spinning off the highway and into the ditch. Tesla has lowered driving range estimates across its lineup of electric vehicles as a new U.S. government vehicle testing regulation takes effect, with the goal of ensuring that automakers accurately reflect real-world performance. This from Automotive News. Tesla has historically issued range estimates that overstate what its cars can deliver, prompting widespread complaints from customers, according to some automotive testing experts and a Reuters investigation last year. Reuters reported in July that the automaker about a decade ago rigged the algorithm that controls in-dash range estimates in Tesla vehicles to give rosy projections of how far owners can drive before needing to recharge.
Sounds like a scandal.
Story also found the automaker created a secret team in 2022 to suppress thousands of driving range complaints and cancel owners' range-related service appointments. Tesla's website now estimates the range of a Model Y long range, for instance, at 310 miles, while the government's fuel economy site, maintained by the Environmental Protection Agency, still lists the same vehicle's range at 330 miles. For the performance variant of the Model Y, a small crossover from 303 miles to 285 miles, the Reuters review showed.
And then Elon buys Twitter and suppresses the news even further.
Well, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
No?
I don't think he would.
No. He doesn't care about that sort of
he
stuff.
Wants to get
Minor.
out there.
Yeah, he wants to go to the sun.
Mm-hmm. We go at night. You got to go at night.
You got to go at night. That's right. Fisker.
Thank you, AOC.
You know, Fisker is trying to be a high-end automobile manufacturer.
Well, they are with the price.
Fisker is abandoning its plan to deliver vehicles directly to its customers and will transition to franchise dealerships starting this year. The company already announced its intention to sign 50 dealers by mid-year. But that's just the start of the move that will take the electric vehicle startup out of the vehicle distribution and service business, like Tesla does. Fisker said he will attend the National Automobile Dealers Association convention next month and personally make the pitch to dealers to sell Ocean, the Ocean crossover. He said that franchise dealers will also get future products currently under development, including a small $30,000 EV called the Pear and the Alaska, an electric midsize pickup truck.
So is it Bonnie? His Bonnie lies over the ocean?
His Bonnie lies over the ocean.
Well, Fisker was one of the first solar vehicles back in the day when they had all
the panels on the roof.
On the roof, yeah.
And went out of business.
Mm-hmm. And finally, new vehicle inventory in the U.S. rose by more than 200,000 in December and started January half again as large as it was a year earlier, the highest in 3 years, according to Cox Automotive. Cox said vehicle inventory stood at 2.7 million in its latest estimate, representing a 71-day supply, which is a lot, and up from its estimated 2.5 million a month earlier. Cox said new vehicle inventories had recovered a year earlier in about 1.8 million as the industry slowly regained production from 2021's component shortages. And part of the reason I read after that story was published by Automotive News, that the problem now is coming up where people aren't buying new cars because they can't afford them because they have raised the prices of these new cars tremendously. And that's why I was talking to Mars there a minute ago about the price of that vehicle that he was reviewing. And it starts at $29. Go try to find one that's actually $29, the entry level. You're not.
Well, it's the cost of the car, the price of the car, the cost of insurance that we just learned from Divya, as well as the cost of financing. Because you're looking at a lot of car financing now is pushing 10%.
6.5 to 9 right now. I was at a meeting that was held at the Ford dealership down there in 59 and talking to the dealer principal, Patrick Saxton. He said that monthly payments are in the $1,500 range on an F-150.
Wow.
Well, you're talking
and that's
$70,000 to $90,000 truck.
$100,000 truck, yeah. So.
Yeah.
And then plus insurance. You have to buy
insurance. Fuel, you plug it into the wall, or you go to the gas station and fill it up.
You're looking at 7-8 years financing.
But the high inventory level, 71 days, is going to push manufacturers to more incentives.
Yes, it will.
But that always happens, that balance of inventory levels and incentives. As the inventory levels get higher, the incentives do as well.
Hey, it's time to take a break here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We've got more coming up. Stay with us.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that help make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invite you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. Fast on the trigger, it's Don Armstrong. Podcasting and streaming from Studio A inside Sugar Shack Studios, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, the boys from Loras College Racing Club.
All right.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
It'll do it.
You'll hear my thoughts on a week with the 2024 Dodge Challenger Super Bee. And Conrad's got the, I guess, a continuation. We're going to figure it out, whether he's going to talk about more stuff to do with cruise-ins and car shows. We'll got it under control.
We'll get it under control.
It's all ahead on this episode of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy. Along with Mike out of this world, Mars, who's outside right now. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong, and we are so glad that you could join us today. Now, let us switch up to Iowa and and talk to the boys from Loras College, the racing team outside of Dubuque, Iowa. Howdy, fellas. How you doing? Oh, I'm sorry. I pushed the button. Okay, now talk to me.
Oh, doing good. Thanks for having us.
So you have to introduce yourselves. I got JJ, Cam, Jacob, and Jake.
Yes, so I'm JJ Ware, president of Duhawk Racing, and I'm a senior here at Loras College.
JJ, so what are you majoring in? What are you going to get your degree in?
Mechanical engineering.
Very nice. I like that. And I guess you do too. And are you hopefully going to get yourself a job as some sort of mechanical engineer somewhere?
The goal is to stick in motorsport. Always been a fan of motorsport, so looking IndyCar-wise, IMSA, even some stuff across the pond. So keeping my eyes peeled to everything, but that's the goals right now.
Do you have your resume ready to go?
Oh yeah, resumes, cover letter, all of them. We're grinding that out.
Okay.
Well, continue watching the show. We're going to have Antron Brown,
I was
NHRA
just about to say
on.
that. Yep.
Yeah, Antron, you into drag racing?
A little bit, not as much. Very big in IndyCar and the IMSA side. A little bit less on drag racing, but I am familiar.
Okay, that's good to know. So which one is Cam?
That would be me.
Hi, Cam. Good morning to you. It's good to see you guys. So you're originally from Illinois.
Yes, I am. That's correct.
Very nice. And what is your major?
Girls.
I am also mechanical engineering.
Pay no attention to Jeff. He's just kidding. But I hope you got you a nice girlfriend. But so what are you majoring in? Where are you in your? Oh, you're a fifth-year senior.
Yes, I am a fifth year this year.
Yep. And what are you majoring in?
I'm also in mechanical engineering.
Gotcha. Plan on attending graduate school to earn a master's degree in aerospace engineering.
Well, we know someone.
Sir.
Yes, well, my daughter works for a company, and she has a degree. She's an astrophysicist, so she's right up y'all's alley. And I hope she's watching this morning. She's in Denver. But, okay, and you two are looking for a Formula One race team to climb on board with.
Yes, that would be the ultimate goal, to find a job working as an aerodynamicist with an F1 team.
There you go.
I can't even say that, much less.
All the turmoil in F1 going on right now in off-season. Are you sure?
Yeah. When that drama comes up, it makes me question it a little bit. But it's definitely something I love, so I'm ready to ride that wave.
You tell Toto.
So have you reached out to any of them yet?
Yes, I have reached out to some teams. Some of them offer certain summer internships that you're able to go overseas and work for a couple months. I've done that the past couple years and haven't made it past the application process super far, but I have made contacts with them and hope to keep that as I move forward.
Yeah, well, that's how my daughter got her job. She
kept after
did a couple of internships her junior, senior year, and by golly, they offered her a job when she graduated, so that there is hope for all of you guys.
Got her off of your payroll.
Yeah, well, not really. Jacob Westermeyer, how are you today this morning?
Good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. So you're an Iowan. I don't even know, how do you say somebody from Dubuque? A Dubuquean?
I think it's Dubuquean.
Dubuquean. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in Dubuque all my life.
Very good. And I have to ask, and I'm going to ask you, how's the weather up there this morning?
Not great. There's a bunch of plows going outside right now.
Yeah.
We just got hit by that big snowstorm coming through, and I think we have about 20 inches in the last week that came down. So we're having fun in the snow.
So you're working in computer science, the capstone team, is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So on top of the engineering team, we also have a computer science team who's also kind of working on the Baja project, which should give us some pretty cool analytics on our car once it gets going.
Okay. And then Jake Bonnet. You know relationship to Neil Bonnet, huh?
No relationship.
Okay. Well, I just, since you guys are on the racing team, I figured, I got to ask that question.
Yep.
Now, you're originally out of Chicago, huh?
Yes, Southside.
South side of Chicago. Okay.
Yep.
I think there's a song about
There is
South
a song
side of
about
Chicago.
that. Conrad's about to sing it.
It's a good place to be from.
Yeah, that's it. So, okay, fellas, you have to figure out who's going to answer the question. Tell us about the car that you guys are working on.
I can go to start here. So the car itself is part of it's competing in the Baja SAE competition. So basically it's an off-road vehicle that is just fully built, designed, manufactured. Everything that's on the vehicle and has been worked on or designed has been done by our actual group of students that we have at Loras.
See, back in my day, we would have called that a dune buggy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar with the term.
Sand racer.
How different is it from the dune buggy of the 1960s?
I would say that it is a lot less power. You're using a 10 horsepower lawnmower engine, and we're very capped on power. Can't really do too much with it. So we have to look to save weight and gate in certain other areas using interesting transmissions like CVTs and stuff. So it's not as close to like an old dune buggy per se. It has a lot of the same features, being 4 open wheels, off-road style like that. But it's very low on power. So it forces a lot of us in the engineering side to find some interesting and unique solutions to a lot of problems that come up during the manufacturing.
And stay skinny.
Yeah,
and stay skinny while doing all this. Yeah.
So have you ever seen like a Honda Odyssey vehicle? I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like to me. It's a single-person vehicle, small engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So single-person, rear engine. We're looking to probably hit around 30, 40 top speed miles per hour. So it's not going to be, again, it's kind of hard to compare to a normal like on-road vehicle or other stuff you see in racing series, just because there are some regulations put forth by SAE that don't kind of cap sort of what we can do. But yeah, for a basic sense, it's very close to like that dune buggy that we were talking about in a design sense.
So how many entrants will be in that category?
It kind of depends on what competition you're going to. So our first competition, the goal is to actually race here at the end of the month on the 27th up in Houghton, Michigan, which should be very interesting with all the snow that just came down.
God. And they chose Houghton, Michigan for that in the middle of winter?
We're not even the farthest away. We got a team from Georgia Tech driving all the way up.
Oh my gosh.
They're not even going
Guys
to know
in
what
Georgia
snow
don't
is.
know how to drive in the snow.
That's it. So where is this going to take place? Where is this race going to take place?
So this latest one this one we're trying to get to right now is in Houghton, Michigan. It's going to be I believe we actually just had to move the venue. It's usually at Michigan Tech's campus, but now I think it moved to a trail/ski resort up there that we're going to be racing on now, just for different, I think they had some issues with snow sake. So that's where we're going to be racing, and then I think during the race there's some obstacles and stuff in the track, little jumps, stuff along those lines that you got to kind of maneuver while you're actually on track.
So is this a wheeled vehicle, or is this going to be a tracked vehicle?
Wheeled, 4 wheels.
4 wheels. And what kind of suspension travel does it have?
I'll let Bonnet answer that one.
So for our suspension, we're hoping so it has like a 13. We have 13 wheel or like what's the word for it?
Ride height.
Yeah, ride height.
Got you.
And so we have spring shock. So hopefully we'll be able to adjust that to kind of fit whatever track we're.
I see. So it's an adjustable suspension. So depending on what kind of track surface you've got,
how tight you make it.
Yeah, how tight you make it, and the wheel travel and all that sort of stuff. Because when I think of Baja kind of vehicles, I think obviously dune buggies, and the way that they get across the track so well is because of part of it, because of the travel length.
So is this a steel tube chassis vehicle, or have you guys advanced all the way into carbon fiber tubs?
The chassis for this vehicle will be steel tube. We haven't made that jump yet to any other synthetic materials.
Hey, you're going F1. You got to get carbon fiber tubs, you know.
Exactly.
Might be a little bit out of the budget right now for the team, to be fair. But we have talked about it. It would be a dream at some point.
Okay, so let's talk.
Get Haas to sponsor you.
Let's talk about the 10 horsepower engine. What kind of an engine is it? Is it an out-of-the-box 10 horsepower like a Briggs & Stratton or something?
Yeah, so the engine we are going to be using for the competition is technically the old generation engine that was supplied by SAE. So it's basically a 10 horsepower Vanguard Briggs & Stratton engine. The modern engine that is required for all of the end of the year SAE official competitions is going to be a Kohler engine, which is very similar horsepower, same exact mounting pattern. So nothing really changes on that front. It's just a different engine supplier at that point. But we are capped at 3,800 RPMs, so we can't do anything along those lines. We can't again, like coming from a karting background, I thought rebuild the engine, crack it open, do whatever we can to sort of optimize the power coming out of it. Nothing like that's allowed. So we have to find ways to get gains in other areas, which is like one of the big things we had to figure out was which transmission we're using, and especially going with a CVT style, it's going to be something that allows us to get different gear ratios to hopefully keep good low end, but also have that nice high end top speed as well.
So it's basically a series crate engine.
Yes.
And you're not allowed to tune the exhaust system or the intake systems either?
No, you can't crack it.
Can't shave the heads.
Nothing along those lines.
Nope.
Oh, wow.
See, when I was fine tuning my Briggs & Stratton 2 horsepower, what I did is I got Dad's big file out, turned the head over, and I just carefully shaved the head.
Yeah.
And it got a little bit more compression out of it.
No, I just got a piece of twine that was about 2 feet long, and I just pull on the governor.
Well, there's that. So, if you want to know about cheating, just ask any of us, because we know how to do that.
Rubbin's Racing.
Yeah. So, okay, so is it just a one-day racing event up there?
Yeah, so the Hode one's going to be a one-day event. We're going to probably head up the day before just because worried about weather and, like I said, snow, especially up there in the UP. So we'll head up there, end up racing the one day. We'll have some preliminary events take place in the morning, and then the 4-hour endurance race, I believe, starts at either 12 or 12:30, if I'm not mistaken. And then that'll go till about 4 o'clock.
Which is when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So is it wheel-to-wheel racing or time distance?
Wheel-to-wheel. So you'll get a staggered start. It won't be a full grid start. You'll get a staggered start out the pits. So based on where you've qualified in the preliminary events, you'll get released, and there's a minute gap or whatever. And then your times are still taken using just normal transponder stuff set up. But from there, it's going to be you're actually wheel-to-wheel racing on the same track.
What kind of tires are you going to use?
We got some tires. We can't use studded. We looked at it. We cannot use studded. We actually worked out. We bought some tires off UW Platteville, and we're going to be using those. They're some Razor tires, so very much just ATV component tires at that point, using a lot of Polaris stuff.
Are you allowed to cut the tread?
I believe so. Based on the tire, it depends on the tire. There's certain regulations regarding what you're allowed to mess with on that front.
Because you got to remember, these are engineers, so they're going to know all the little details and all the numbers.
Or a paddle tire where they do these swamp buggies. would that work as well? You're in snow. I mean, you're moving.
Well, they can't have studded tires, so I imagine they couldn't have paddle tires.
Well, it's just not studded.
Well, that's why I was asking if they allowed to cut the treads to custom
because you could
cuts.
cut the paddle.
By the way, my brother graduated from UW Platteville. I just wanted to throw that in there.
There you go.
There you go.
Go
That's
Platts.
Yeah, those have been some good friends to us, especially as we were again brand new. So they've really kind of helped guide us whenever we got questions. It's very nice to.
That's what us Wisconsinites do. We help our Iowan friends along.
What's the mascot at Platteville?
I have no clue. Yeah, the platypus.
He's a Packers fan.
Well, well, that's good. How do you know that?
It's on the background behind his head.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, I can't see that well.
Milwaukee Brewers and Packers.
Well, we had the young lady. She was fly Eagles and Jersey.
Who's the driver here?
So as we start going, I'll probably drive a good amount of it, being the only one to actually have racing, raced competitively before. But the goal is to get everyone educated, get everyone in the car, make sure that we all could get some seat time and understand, have some fun with what we've actually taken all this time to build and develop.
Do y'all like each other?
Most of the time.
That's what I wanted to hear.
So when you go to this race, this first race that you got coming up, it's a one-day race. Is there an opportunity for all of you to make some passes or take some laps during that day?
Yeah. So
okay,
the way the endurance race is really set up, and how brutal the tracks are, it's usually expected you're going to pit, both for fuel. We only have like a gallon fuel tank, so we're going to have to pit for fuel no matter what. Then on top of that, just stuff breaks. It's a brutal track. We're expected to get air time, so we're expecting to pit, and we'll have enough equipment where we can kind of switch out on those pits. So
okay.
So have you already figured out how to use a reserve fuel tank in the tube chassis?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a.
You're trying
where you're going with that. I know
trying to lead them
that.
down the cheating path.
Yeah, or fill the tubes with helium to make it a little lighter.
Now, let me ask you this: Do you guys have an instructor up there that's kind of overseeing this project, or you just guys are on your own?
Yeah, so we have one of our professors in engineering class. His name is Professor Joy. He's done a lot to help us get started. A lot of help with the grant writing and sort of giving his expertise. He did the Formula SAE team when he was at school at Iowa State. So getting a lot of background on that front is really helpful to us. That's good. And does he join you every time that you're in the shop working on the car? No, he's hands off on that front. That's all myself. Westermeyer, Cam, Bonnet, and then some of our underclassmen who are helping us as well. That's all us in there. How fun. Man, I'd love that. So where is the shop? Is it on campus?
It's actually we're a little tight on space. It's in the basement of one of our residence halls on campus. So it's just it's a double wide garage door, I think about 300 square feet, and we're pretty packed in there. We built all our own tables. For storage, we were using old filing cabinets for a while. We finally got a nice purple Duhawk branded cabinet to put all our tools in, but we're building from the ground up here, so we're starting small.
There's got to be a keg. There's got to be a keg in there somewhere.
It's in the back of the cabinet. So Jeff Heitzman is the one that hooked us up with these guys, and he wanted us to ask what a Duhawk is.
I believe it originally started as a Dubuque Hawk. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. They haven't taught us that either yet, I guess.
Well, that's okay. There's a question to ask.
It's going to be on the test.
The name was tied to the athletic department, from what I've understood from the story, that there used to be a different school in our conference, Co-College, also in Iowa, that they were the Hawks, and we were also the Loras Hawks. And when we joined both the same conference and the American Rivers Conference, they decided that both had to change their names. So we became the Duhawks for Dubuque Hawks, and they became the Co-Hawks.
Okay.
I'll take.
And what will this vehicle weigh without driver?
Believe the chassis itself currently comes in around 65, 70 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
engines in it and everything else, looking to keep it around like that 125, 150 mark.
It's
You
heavy.
got to be able to get it out of the basement.
Doing 40 miles an hour.
So what's the wheelbase? What's
So the max we could have is 62.
62-inch
inches
wheelbase?
wide.
So, in other words, it's bigger than a go-kart.
But smaller than a
Yes.
quad runner.
Yeah, but smaller than a quad runner. That's
They
where
got to
you
be
put
able to get it out the basement door.
it. Well, I understand that, but I'm
Sideways.
yeah, they'll be able to do that, I would imagine. But I'm trying to envision it in my mind, and I'm thinking, okay, well, the suspension travel doesn't keep it up off the ground very much, and so it'd be like a kind of a tall go-kart.
Mm-hmm. And then the one that you're prepping for now is a snow race. Will there also be a
plow on the front of it?
No, I was thinking of like a Baja
Sand,
a sand
street, whatever. Yeah,
a high temperature race as well.
So a lot of that does depend on where the location of the actual competitions are being held. So this one we're trying to go to is actually a non-official SAE event. The actual official SAE events, for example, at the end of this year, one of them is taking place in California, which we look to try to go to, but that's Southern California, where we have a completely different set of conditions that we had to worry about with doing with sand, more of a gravelly surface, a lot of heat, so we got to worry about cooling and stuff. This one, if we overheat something on our car at this one, I will be very surprised.
Yeah,
because
that
you could
would
just
go
throw snow on it. Yeah.
Well, I assume that this 10 horsepower engine is air cooled.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Kohler is as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, that Kohler is made in Wisconsin.
Oh, there you go.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, you did.
Don is our Wisconsin expert.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my grandmother.
Because nobody else wants to be.
That's right. My grandmother was an Iowan, so there you go.
And don't drive through the yellow snow.
All right. Well, it's time to go. But, gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to talk to you. The best of luck. Hey, please keep us posted now and keep in touch with us.
How do we follow you when you're at the race?
We do some social media out on Instagram, just at Duhawk Racing. You can find us through Loras College as well. I'm sure we'll get some articles and stuff posted out there, and also look for Loras College posts on Facebook, LinkedIn, everything like that. And we'll be able to keep people updated that way.
And now that they've been on the show,
when do
they're
y'all cut out
celebrities.
for the summer? If we want to get back with you, we need to do it before the summer break.
Yeah, so we leave. We've been in class already. We've had a nice 2-day week with all the snow days, but we get out of class before the end of April, I believe, because I believe May is fully off.
Wow.
Yes,
We had some weird
graduated
changes with our schedule this year, so I could be off on that, but I believe that's how it works.
Well, we'll if nothing else, we'll let Jeff Heitzman keep up with y'all.
Okay. Gentlemen, it's
Sounds good.
time for us to run, but thank you so much for joining us today. Best of luck, and we'll be cheering you on.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, fellas. Cam, Jacob, Jake, and JJ, and the Duhawk Racing Boys. All right.
Very cool.
Time now for this hour's car review. I got to drive the 2023 Dodge Charger.
Now,
It comes in these trim levels.
I thought you said
Oh, I'm
Escalade
sorry.
before the show.
Did I say Escalade?
Yes, Escalade. Remember you went through that whole.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be that. I was following Mars.
This is Don's. This is Don's Kona.
I know. This is my Kona.
I just want to know
What are we
who's going to
talking
be
about?
Mike and who's going to be Don.
well,
I just need to know that.
Well,
Buttons to push.
See, here's the deal. See what happened here? See what happened there?
Yeah, you did.
I scratched out the Escalade and put the
Yeah,
Charger.
yeah.
What happened is, and I'll be honest with you, we took a week off.
We did.
To work on the studio.
To work on the studio while you were listening to one
Like
of our,
the new design?
like one of our award-winning best of shows. Mm-hmm. And so I now have an extra car in the garage to review.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
Got one in
the
the bank.
Escalade is gonna have to be next week. See, we're not going to use that.
What's Don driving?
Yeah. So what? Yeah. What's Don driving this week is
Okay.
you're not going to have pictures of it.
So I'm going to mark through this and not feel so bad.
Wait.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
you-
no,
you're
we're
get-
still going
no.
to pick on
Because
you.
I got an email.
You, sir, we're going to still make you feel bad. This is all your fault because you started this.
Rubbing off.
It is. So I'm now reviewing, and you're going to have to watch me instead of have to dream of the car, but you already know this car. The 2023 Dodge Charger comes in these trim levels.
And there's a picture of it right there.
The SXT, the SXT, the GT, the RT, the Scat Pack, the SRT Hellcat wide body, and I have the Super B Special Edition. This is a large four-door sedan that's been around for 10 count them, 10 years.
10.
How many people? 5 is what it holds, including the driver. The exterior changes from last model year. Well, the last major update was in 2011. So it's, when I read that, I thought, really? They've hung on to this thing since 2011. Now, they've changed the front and rear bumpers and spoilers and stuff like that, but it's the same body.
They got a couple of models they've done that with. They're selling, so why fix it?
Bingo. That's it. Put that big horsepower stuff in it, and you're good to go. Now, I do want to read you the options on this. I made a note to myself to read you the options. The Super B Special Edition has Super B Napa Alcantara seats, Super B exterior graphics. They're done nicely, actually. They're kind of a fadeaway kind of thing. Super single scoop SRT hood with air intake, black hood, pin kit from Mopar, drag mode suspension. Has big drag radial tires on it. I think that you saw those last when I had
Very
the car.
nice. Very cool.
They're 20 inches. Ventilated front seats, power front driver and passenger seats, two-way power lumbar adjustable passenger seat, memory for radio, driver seat and exterior mirrors, satin black Dodge tail lamp badge, black Charger exhaust tips, and adaptive damping suspension. Okay, it's got all that. Exterior features: aggressive, well-proportioned nose with modern styling, even in the base model. Hockey stick-shaped side creases add to its cool look. Rear spoiler with faux brake vents on the lower quarter panels. What I liked, the subtle Super B graphics. What could use improvement? Nothing. If you want to get one, get the wide body kit to go with it. Interior highlights: high bolstered seats hug your body like you want to be hugged. Somewhat dated dash, but still has the big infotainment screen in it. Passive phone cubby, not wide enough to handle my Galaxy Note phone. Easy to use climate controls, little old school, but no confusion here. Cargo trunk room, big but with a small opening, a small lid. What I liked, the big American sedan for the 21st century. I dig it. 6.4-liter Hemi V8, 485 horsepower, 475 pound-feet of torque, which is more than enough, trust me. Transmission, 8-speed automatic. Gets 15 in the city, 24 on the highway for combined of 18 miles per gallon. I got 19.5 over 286.5 miles. What I liked about it, the power. Improvement, well, no more is needed unless you are a braggart. No 6-speed manual is available anymore. And the car's not available anymore. What I liked about it, smooth riding if you want it to be. What could use improvement? Doesn't make any difference. It feels heavy, and it is 2 tons worth. Base trim price $50,330. Price is tested $63,985. Base model price with the V6 in it starts at $33,200. For a big sedan, that's a bargain, friends.
Yep.
Competitors: Acura TLX for $45,000. Kia Stinger, $36,690, and the Tesla Model 3, $40,240.
Wow.
And that's my review of the not Cadillac Escalade, but the Dodge Charger Super B.
End of production.
The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts are available from your favorite podcast provider. In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana? Stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. A global powerhouse in podcasting and live streaming. You're on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, our favorite top fuel driver from the NHRA, ladies and gentlemen, Antron Brown is in the house and standing by. Conrad has This Week in Auto History. We'll get you caught up on the stories making headlines this week as well. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us on this chilly Saturday morning. Supposed to warm up into the 60s today.
Ooh.
I know it's going to be a bitter one, however, come Monday, I understand. Yeah. Well, let's get right to it, shall we? Our favorite guy, three-time NHRA Top Fuel champion, Mr. Antron Brown. Antron, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Doing good. How about yourselves?
Well, we're doing. Are you as busy as ever?
Yes, like everywhere. We've been working, just getting ready for this new 2024 season, and everything's just been going good so far, man. Just been all over the place, getting things ready, getting all the new liveries together, and working on some other projects at the same time. And we've been out there helping out a new partner of ours that we're just helping get out there, Sean Reed, out there in Top Fuel also. And then we also have our our ABM, just working on our development, entry-level people coming in, and that's what it's all about right now. We've been trying to, from the junior dragsters all the way up until where we actually have Angel, like my old teammate from Pro Stock Motorcycle. She's part of our program, the ABM Accelerate program. So we're just trying to grow all these things, and we got so much stuff going on. There's a lot of excitement around NHRA with the new Mission Foods announcement for our major sponsor of our series. So there's a lot of buzz going on in our sport right now, and man, we're just riding that wave right now, just trying to keep everything balanced. But there's no balance, as you know.
Yeah, no, there's never any balance.
So if you talked about new liveries, that means new paint schemes and some new sponsorships for you?
No, like for us, we actually just new liveries for Matco Tools, our tried and true primary sponsor. Right. For the last 16 years. So we've got some new exciting things that are coming out this year that I can't talk about right now. So they'll try to get me. I know how y'all roll.
You know how we are. Yeah, exactly. Hey, before we go any further, I did want to mention the fact that we had a death in the family recently, and I know that you were pretty close to Don Schumacher, and wanted to get your feelings on that.
And that Don's been fighting that fight for a while, and it's a sad day in motorsports in general because he brought so much stuff to our sport, and without Don, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And it's plain and simple. And he's taught me so many things, not just from the racing standpoint, but from the business side of things. You know what I mean? And gracious person. If you ever went fishing with him, the best host you can ever go out and was fishing. He really enjoyed that, the deep sea fishing. And you thought that he was intense. We always thought he was intense as a team owner. And I can tell this one story about Don Schumacher, because we all thought he will not settle unless you were winning. If you got second place, if you got runner up, it's like you might as well didn't qualify that race. You know what I mean? That's how intense Don Schumacher was. And it was so funny. And he never raised his voice. He never got out of character. He was always cool, calm, collective. But you could just tell his demeanor on what he meant and how serious he was, you know. And when I went out with him deep sea fishing, it was intense. Like, that guy was the first up and going crazy, and it was ridiculous. It was absolutely crazy. Like, he was up at 4 a.m. and we did not finish fishing until 6 p.m. in the evening, and we came in with the biggest fish you ever saw, from tuna to yellowfin tuna to sailfish to marlin, and it was always catch and release up for the tuna. The IE tuna, we filleted him around his boat, and man, it was just a really good time. That's a side of Don that a lot of people didn't get to experience like I did, and I was very fortunate and blessed. And he always held a special place in my heart, and he always helped to steer us to be the type of people that we are today. Not just me, but my whole team, from Brian Karate, Brad Mason, Mark Oswald, all the guys that have been around Don, and all the crew members know what type of gentleman he was.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I never met him personally, but I learned a lot about him in the year that I was on the drag racing tour with the Valvoline team, and I know that he was very successful in everything that he touched, and he always relied on the best of the best and brought them into the fold. You're one of them. As you mentioned, your crew chiefs, and he always got the best crew chiefs. He always strived for the very best, and he was a very successful guy, and a lot of drag racing innovations. The canopy top, for one, he was the one that got that going. I mean, he was at the cutting edge, and I know that his electrical business, Schumacher Electrical, I mean, he took that to the top as well. I mean, he didn't settle for second, as you mentioned.
No, he did not, and he knew every milk and cranny. And the thing about it is, Don was the first one to have to tell you that he wasn't the smartest one out there, which he was still sharp. So don't get that twisted. But he always said that he just learned how to outwork people. And that resonated with me when I watched him throughout all those years. And he goes, Antron, he goes, you know what? Some people are smart, some people this, but the thing about it is that attitude and work ethic will overpower anything every day. And there's some truth to that, without a doubt. And for us, and for me, is taking a chance. Is literally going after what you truly want in life and giving it all you have. And if you just keep working at it, you're going to eventually achieve it. I mean, he looked at me after I started my own race team, and I'll never forget the phone calls, because we negotiated back and forth to sell the team for me to buy some parts and pieces and everything else. And he ran me through it. He goes, Antron, this is nothing personal. This is business. And that's what we did. And I've learned a life lesson from him throughout all those years. And when we got done, he looked at me and he goes, you did very good at negotiating, and you were very good at sticking to your word and not deviating from it, and you stayed the course. And he put it to me. He told me he was going to try me. He goes, Antron, he goes, I want to show you some stuff. He goes, I don't think you should do it. I don't think you could do it. He told me everything that he think that I couldn't do. And then he says, and he told me that on purpose to see what I was made of.
Yeah, to motivate.
Not that he didn't think I couldn't do it. It's just to see if I folded, I wasn't ready to do it. And this went on for 2 years, and it was the best school that I could ever went to, and the best class.
And that's what a mentor does, is he makes those around him better by challenging them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He did that to every one of us. And he knew what button to push on each individual. He didn't do the same tactic to everybody. That's what people don't realize, that everything doesn't work for one thing does not work on every person. Every person learns and takes different. And for me, I was self-motivated. Somebody, like, he never had to come in the trailer. My whole career racing with him and told me, Antron, what you doing, man? You got to work more. You got to do this more. He never told me that because he knew how I worked. Well, he knew my button he could push on me is when somebody tells me that I can't do something. Wow. You tell Antron Brown that he can't do something, you see what happens. And he knew, and he found that out over time. And when he figured that out, that's how cool. That's how he knew how to get to
magic. Cool. By the way, I did want to mention something that when I found out that Mars had got you on today, I thought, I'm going to go to his website. And there is such a cool, I wouldn't even call it a commercial. It's like a 5-minute fun thing to watch that Toyota put together for you. And what a great video that is, my friend.
Oh, you're talking about Hangover on Horsepower?
Yes, Hangover on Horsepower.
My God.
No, you're not embarrassed by it, are you?
No, It was one of those deals, and it's kind of a spiff off of, like, the Hangover.
Yeah.
Except for we're doing the Hangover on Horsepower, and we're just showcasing the brand new Tundras coming out with the V6, with the twin turbo on it. And then also having the IMAX, which is the electric motor that enhance it for the towing capacity, for the power and torque to take off, and for fuel, to make it fuel economical, basically the hybrid. And I got to drive that pickup truck for the first time, and I'm like, man, this thing was fast. And I was on the drag strip, and I mashed the gas pedal down, man, and I was like, this thing's like standing still. And the funniest part of it was actually standing still. I was actually peeling the rubber off the racetrack, spinning the tires. And I never forget, like, the Jeff Foster, the track guy, he manages to track at Vegas. He goes, Antron, you are tearing up my racetrack. I was taking the rubber off the track. It was rubber shrapnel all over the place. I'm taking the rubber off the track. It was hilarious. And I'm like, I am so sorry. And they're like, AB, you can't hit it. Because normally you get in the pickup truck, you just hit it. And he goes, well, it squats down and takes off because it weighs so much. You know what I mean? And, man, I was lighting this up like it was a top fuel pickup truck. I was like, well, this thing's got some ponies to it. So it was pretty cool.
What do we got to look forward to for the first race? What can you tell us?
Well, the cool part is that we have I don't know if you know, but we have a race coming up before we start. We have a race, like kind of an all-star race, shootout race in Bradenton, Florida, called it's the Pro brought to you by SCAG, presented to you by actually the Horsepower Garage over there, the J&G guys from the Horsepower Garage. Basically, it's a shootout where you're writing the best of the best, invitational only, $250,000 to win.
Oh, wow.
And it is going to be something very, 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 very serious.
Now, this is a brand new thing.
Yes, it's brand new. It's put on by our pro organization, basically like our union for all of our professional race teams in AHRA. And basically we're teaming up where we're doing some different things that we normally don't do at a typical NHRA drag race, just to bring some excitement and entry to the Gainesville race, to the Gator Nationals, which is literally like 2 weeks after that. You get what I mean? So basically this is a deal that's going to be on Flow, a streaming platform where you're able to see inside of our pit, see things that you never got to see before. And that's what's going to make it special. And then the coolest part about it is that it's going to be a format where it's going to be over 12 of our best of the best race teams, invitational only. That's coming. From Top Fuel, from Funny Car to Pro Stock Car, you're going to have the baddest of the baddest. And then we're going to have some sportsman categories there, like from different classes in Super Comp, like Comp, Super Comp, and some different classes like that. And we're bringing the best of the best, invitational only. And then the crazy part is on Saturday, we qualify one run Thursday night. Friday, we have 3 qualifying runs throughout the day. Bam, bam, bam. And then we're going to race the Elite 8 on Saturday. And whoever doesn't make the field, we're actually going to do a little mixed tango where it's going to be Funny Car against dragsters for the ones that don't make the field.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool.
How fun is that going to be?
Oh, it's going to be crazy. And the coolest part is kind of like the baseball theme. You know how you always have baseball where you always have like the kind of all-star weekend, like they put a deal to start before you start your season to get everybody excited to see what's coming season, this is what we're doing, because basically we're going to be testing there Tuesday, Wednesday, and all day Thursday, and make one run Thursday night and 3 qualifying runs on Friday. So you're going to see the best of the best where these cars and teams get to prepare for this to actually go out there and hit it hard. So
it's going to make it busy. It's going to make it busy Friday.
Antron, have you ever driven a funny car?
I have not. I warmed one up, but that is definitely on my bucket list. That is definitely on my bucket list.
I mean, clearly I never have, but I understand that there's a huge difference with that short wheelbase on a funny car than it is on a dragster.
Yes, it is. It for surely is. It's a different type of driving, but for myself, I've always been intrigued by it because I love all the racing classes, and I want to race everybody. Like, the only vehicle I really haven't raced yet, I did sort of a pro mod car with the radial stuff when we went to the Snowbirds last year.
Yeah.
I want to do a pro mod. I want to do a pro stock car. And
Erica will let you get in her car and run it down the track.
We definitely need to do that because I want to do that, and I also want to do a funny car without a doubt. Funny car, definitely. And I think me and Caps, hopefully maybe we'll get together and do a spin-off one year when we're testing and do some social media behind it and film it where we swap rides.
Well, you're Toyota teammates too, so that shouldn't be too difficult to coordinate.
And we're like the same size, so it'll be perfect mix and match. And we're Toyota teammates, and I think it'll be really, really cool.
Well, I guess one of the reasons that I asked the question is because I read something yesterday that there is rumored that Ray Evernham is going to bring back the IROC race. Do you remember those races, circle track races, where they had the matched Camaros and drivers from different racing groups, IMSA, Formula One, IndyCar, all of that. Well, they all got out there, and it was all basically matched with driving skill in cars that they've never even been in before.
That was a few years ago. They did that before.
It was a long time ago.
But not hopefully equal cars, but drivers
and all
from various skills.
The reason I ask you is because that triggered that thought. I'm thinking, now wouldn't that be cool if they had a series of drag cars of some sort, whether it be pro stock, I don't know about Top Fuel or funny car, because that may be a little bit too much for a pro stock person that's not really, but a set of cars that are equally matched and get out there and race your buddies.
Absolutely. I think that would be
the
phenomenal.
Antron Brown series, I think that would be a good, it has a ring to it.
I think we need to make some cars like that, man, and I think it'll be cool where you put it on there, and then we don't even put a name on them, where you could get all the drivers from all the different makes and models throughout our sport and race, and we could even make it like a super fast, like bracket racing cars.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then get everybody from all walks into our sport and invite like the people from NASCAR, people from F1, people from
right.
Exactly.
sprint cars, and do the same thing, because you always bring all the talents in circle track or the road racing. Let's bring them to the drag strip. And, I think that's really cool.
And let them work a Christmas tree for the first time and see what that reaction time is.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to know if you're going to be on time to get your lunch, or if you're going to be on time and you're just going to get some Scooby snacks.
Antron, I don't know if you can see this, but behind me we've got a Wally.
Yeah, we got a Wally
behind us.
The Emmons brothers presented us with the Wally that they won, and we were really thrilled to get that presented to us. So we covet our Wally back here.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So are you going to be doing the AB Motorsports pit side experience again this year?
Oh, absolutely. We have that's a must, a staple point that we have. We bring all of our guests in and partners in, where they get the experience right by the race car, and that's what really helps and makes our racing program go, is having that type of experience. Without it, we wouldn't have what we have. All of our Matco distributors, that's their home base. That's how they bring their customers out, and they build those relationships. And also with our FVP and Factory Motor Parts partner, where they bring out all their customers and all their distributors and people of that nature. And the same thing with Hanksifers and Toyota. Like, everybody that we're a part of, they're really part of that program. And our FDC Fire Department coffee people, man. And we give everybody free coffee. And we wake them up with that freshness, that medium roast. That's how we wake up a little piece of me.
And if I remember last time, you said that your wife was kind of one of the coordinators of that for your team. Is that correct? Still this year?
Yes. Like that's all in the family, and that's my wife. She heads that realm, and she have implemented and got a lot of people that's with her, helping her with all that stuff. And she's been doing it since nonstop and been doing a great job. Last year, it's like we got thrown to the fire, and it was a lot, and was able to manage, maintain, and we just have a lot of people that are chipping in, giving us a great hand. But my wife puts countless hours in it each and every day, in the shop, at home, on the laptop, trying to finagle it, make it happen, and it was pretty cool to see her grow through that this year.
Well, we're looking forward to that invite to do the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show from Pittside at the Antron Brown Top Fuel Dragster thing on a Saturday, wherever you want us to be.
Oh, we got you covered. We got a corner laid out for you. Y'all guys come in. And the thing about it is we have Chef Kevin in there. We got him, Chef Kev. He throws down, and he's a brilliant chef, and we have a really good time out there. And where else is a better spot to be? You get to come out and see 12,000 horsepower race cars. You get to sit right alongside of them in the pit side experience and see the crew guys strip them down, put them back together in less than 40 minutes, fired up, get the cackle right next to you, get to smell a nitro, get the tear in your eye, and then have a chef prepare a meal. And we get to come in there and have a lot of fun with different games and giveaways and stuff.
I'm packing now.
Antron, it's great to talk to you, my friend. We sure appreciate you taking the time on a Saturday to talk to us, and best of luck. We'll be following you all season long. Maybe we can catch up with you at some summer break sometime.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you fellas very, very much. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Antron Brown, NHRA Top Fuel Champion. Okay, time now on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show for Conrad's This Week in Auto History.
Well, in this week in 1942, Ford earned a Jeep contract. So the blueprints for the American Bantam vehicle, the original Jeep that was being built by Willis, was also being built by Ford. And Ford built over 300,000 Ford Jeeps for the World War II effort. I didn't realize they built that many. And when you look at how many they built and the amount of money that they were contracted for, they built each of them for about $975 each.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. In 1958, Toyota and Datsun came to the United States. In 1958, Nissan and Toyota showcased their cars for the first time at the Los Angeles Auto Show. While some Datsuns and Nissan vehicles brought to the United States that were the same name, most of them were given different names as they came into the United States. Ray Lemke opened the first U.S. Datsun dealership in 1958 in San Diego, and the first Datsuns to hit the American shores were a 48 horsepower engine with a 4-speed column shifter. Now, I've driven a 3-speed column shift, but never a 4-speed. And then in 1985, Saturn was founded, a new division by General Motors, which has since gone away.
It's a Viper.
Okay. 1989, the Dodge Viper concept debuts. After only a year of development, the non-running prototype Viper made its first appearance at the North American International Show, and it received enthusiastic response. And then it ended up making it into production. It cost them about $70 million to put that car into production. And then after that would have been the introduction of, let's see, next picture. Yeah, the introduction of Saturn in 1985. Saturn, as a separate brand within General Motors, had a unique style. Their advertising was they were a different kind of car company, and they were the ones that kind of introduced the one price car. The original cars at Saturn, there really wasn't any negotiation. This was the price. This is what you paid, and that lasted for most of Saturn's life, but not all of it. Towards the end, they did start discounting the cars. And then in 2006, at the North American International Auto Show, the Dodge Challenger concept debuted.
It's a Camaro.
I know, but a lot of other things in that same year were first introduced. The Camaro was introduced to the public. The Pontiac Solstice, the FJ Cruiser were all introduced to the public. But the big one was the Challenger concept that stole the spotlight. And again, the Challenger ended up being the one of the production cars that came out of that 2006 North American International Auto Show. And then finally, in 2020, the Bullitt Mustang sells at the Mecum Auto Auction. For what was it? $3.7 million for that Mustang, and that was one of the two cars that were used.
That was the one
movie.
that they found in Mexico,
right?
It was all beat up and wore out.
There were two of them, but this is the one that they found. And then the final thing that showed was the picture of the Lamborghini Miura concept car, but it never came to fruition.
Okay, thank you. Profitability and supply chain issues for electric vehicles worry automotive leaders, according to KPMG and its 2024 Global Automotive Executive Survey. The survey released Tuesday found that, you ready? 45% of respondents outside China were either very or extremely concerned about access to lithium and cobalt for EV battery production in the next 5 years. Chinese control and a relatively unfamiliar supply chain environment are driving executive concerns, according to Gary Silberg, National Automotive Industry Leader at KPMG. There are all new questions that automakers have never really had to grapple with in a brand new supply chain, Silberg said. And then secondly, everywhere they go, China has a significant control over, and I think you add those together, and that's a concern for the supply chain, he said, saying. Did you hear about Cummins engines?
No. Tell me more.
Okay. Truck engine supplier Cummins agreed to a record-setting fine in a $2 billion settlement of a lawsuit filed on Wednesday by the U.S. Justice Department and California, charging the company with installing devices designed to cheat emissions control. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Under the settlement, which is subject to court approval, the $1.675 billion fine to be paid by Cummins includes $1.48 billion to the federal government, $164 million to the California Air Resources Board, and $33 million to the California Attorney General's office. Justice Department said in its largest ever civil penalty for a Clean Air Act violation. Cummins will also spend more than $325 million to remedy the excess emissions, including $175 million to California to reduce excess nitrogen oxide, and will fund replacement high-emitting diesel locomotive engines. The lawsuit said Cummins allegedly installed so-called defeat devices to bypass or disable emissions controls, such as emission sensors and onboard computers. The lawsuit said Cummins used defeat devices for 630,000 2013 to 2019 Ram 2500 and 3500 pickup truck engines to cheat emissions control requirements.
That's where all those old Volkswagen engineers went to work.
Yep.
They got fired from Volkswagen.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's huge. Anyway, shame on them. Quick time for a quick break, and we'll be right back. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, streaming and podcasting. Look for us on your favorite provider.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invite you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. From the Sugar Shack Studios in Texas, USA, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, podcasting and streaming around the globe. Just ahead, Rochelle Salinas, Houston Automotive Show, joins us to talk about the changes happening at this year's event. Jeff brought his homework to class this morning and tells us what he found about EV battery disposal. And Conrad has a look at the upcoming racing events just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong, so glad that you could join us today. And joining us right now, not in picture frames, but on the telephone, as Rochelle Salinas with the Houston Automotive Show. Did you forget to pay the electric bill at the house?
Uh-oh.
I think she's still muted.
And the phone bill.
Yeah, we think that you're still muted somehow. Are you muted? Because we can't hear you.
I guess I was. This is my first time doing a phone access. You know, I'm used to being on video, but I guess it's already frozen tundra in Houston, and my power went out.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, well, it's not frozen tundra yet, but I understand Monday it's going to be ugly, and I think that you really need to pay that electric bill before Monday.
I'm opening the mail. I'm checking right now. Maybe I missed it.
I think the kids will really appreciate it. But, hey, it's good.
Oh, don't worry. They're freaking out.
No, I'm sure. You got the candles lit?
It's daylight.
It's sunny.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, Rochelle, lots of changes at the Automotive Show. And the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because the last time we talked, you weren't too sure yet about Stellantis and the Ram and the Jeep indoor drives and all of the stuff that goes along with Stellantis. And they have said, we're not doing the Houston show. We're not doing any shows.
That is correct. And very unfortunate news. You know, we were grateful to have them for so long, and we're really empathetic to their situation, but it's still extremely disappointing that we won't have Camp Jeep and the Ram Track at our shows this year, nor a full display of Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, but we will have a ride and drive. They are still conducting a ride and drive out front, so there still will be vehicles of those brands on site. It just is a little bit different this year, and you know, it's going to feel different and look different, but we're going to make the best of it.
Yeah. Are the dealers going to step up and bring some product?
You know, when last time we spoke, we were so unsure of everything because we weren't getting answers, and it was still always a maybe, and we were being very optimistic. So they pulled out in such a fast, last-minute time frame that we didn't have a chance to get all 14 Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram dealers together to be able to say, yes, let's do something. It's quite a feat to get that many people in agreement of something and to put the funds forward and everything. So we did not have time to put the dealers display together, but we will have some vehicles there on display. And like I said, we'll have the ride and drive. That's good.
So what other changes? Is Ford going to have a display?
Yes. Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Mazda, Hyundai, Buick GMC, all of those will still be there. VW, Subaru, all of the typicals that we've had in the past, they'll all still be there. It's just the Stellantis brands will be missing in that factor. And Ford actually came in last minute with a surprise for us, and they are going to have a Bronco simulator on site. So that is new this year. That's new to all the auto shows. It's something that they just created recently. They had that Raptor simulator a few years ago, and so they've transformed that into a Bronco simulator. So I'm excited that we'll have that attraction
That's cool.
this year too.
Yeah, very, very nice. I read something pretty ugly, and not about the Houston show, but about the just concluded Consumer Electronics Show in
Vegas,
in Las Vegas, and they were. This article was really slamming Detroit because the Detroit 3 really didn't have much to do with the Consumer Electronics Show. And, of course, they keep blaming it on the UAW, but I think that this was kind of in the plans before the UAW strike. And the fact that they're not there just bodes well for all of the other manufacturers that did show there. And is this going to mean that, that the Detroit 3 are going to suffer with sales because they weren't there? Because let's face it, the Consumer Electronics Show, that thing is huge. 130,000 visitors to that show.
Yeah, you would just think that that'd be the normal way to go.
And, in the past, they've always had displays there. And the Chicago show, same thing. And especially with Stellantis pulling out of that. So it's a shame. I think that it's a transition period for a lot of car manufacturers. And I think that, especially Houston, and based on what I have seen at the Houston Auto Show and now the Automotive Show, that I have seen at that show, that people love to come to that show. And it is a huge opportunity to show what the manufacturers have to offer at the dealership. There's no other experience like it. You can't. Where else can you go and see all of the manufacturers in one place? And it's a huge draw. And to not attend, even if you don't have the huge displays and all of the millions of dollars that they put into those traveling road shows, you'd think that they would at least have something scaled down or something, Is it just me complaining again? Yep. Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir, of course. I mean, this is a conversation that all of us auto shows across the country have every year and throughout the year. We have a big conference with all the auto shows together, and this is a reoccurring conversation. I mean, this is like my, 14th auto show. So I've been working in this industry for a long time, and when I first started, it was kind of one of our biggest years in the auto show in Houston. We had almost 100,000 attendees. That's not something you get at a concert when you put on just park your vehicle on the side of the hill while the concert's going on. You're not getting attraction like we do at the auto show, where people are actually sitting in, touching, experiencing, learning about, comparing, and driving your vehicle on site. That's not happening at these other experiential things that these marketing executives are investing in at the manufacturers. And so we're all talking about this, and it's a struggle to understand where the manufacturers are coming from and why they wouldn't want to participate in auto shows. And it's hard to communicate this, to the consumer on a daily basis as well, and to explain that we still have costs when we put on the show. We still have to pay for the carpet and the rent of the building and the electricity and the internet, and all of those factors are still, a cost to us. And that's how we have to put on the show. And we try to make it, $20 for 2 events in one is a pretty good deal for coming to look at all the. I mean, you're spending that in gas when you're driving around looking and going to all the dealerships trying to comparison shop.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We still think it's a good value and a good experience to come to the auto show. And, I've seen this influx back and forth of manufacturers over these 15 years that I've been doing this. And, they go away, they think that the auto show isn't worth it, and then they come back and they say, oh, you know what? It is worth it. Sorry, we didn't realize. And they come back again. So, I'm just holding on tight and making sure that, we're still providing value and a good experience, not only for the consumers, but for the manufacturers too, and making sure they're getting their leads that they want to get and connections to the people.
Well, Rochelle, you and I both have been basically in the advertising business our entire careers. And one of the things that I learned early on is the fact that, somebody says, oh, well, we just can't afford the advertising. Well, no, you cannot afford not to advertise, because now's not the time to pull back. Now's the time to throw some more money at it and get even bigger and better, because, they've got cars stacking up on dealership lots now. I just read the story that inventory is now up to a 72-day supply overall. And so now would be the time to really hit it up, and the auto show's a perfect
especially in
place.
electric vehicles.
Yeah, there you go.
That's for sure.
Yes, exactly.
And one thing I was wondering about, you were talking about, with the OEM's perspective, the factory, what I would wonder is, how long does it take them to get 100,000 people to come through a dealership to look at their cars?
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing you've done at the Houston Auto Show is you've kind of changed the dynamic of the experience of the attendees, because when I used to go to the Houston Auto Show in the beginning, when I was working for Oldsmobile, we had salespeople working the floor, which could be a little aggressive, trying to get the customer to come to them to buy the car. Now it's evolved into where it's more product experts, people who know a lot more about the vehicle and are less interested in getting you to show up at their dealership the next day. So the attendees get an opportunity to learn about the car as opposed to become accosted by a salesperson, so to speak.
This is very true.
You can't say accosted on the show.
I just did.
You did. You can't say that.
Well, you guys have been attending the preview night for many years, and you know what that experience is like. And this year we're changing that a bit more as well. So I wanted to share that news with you. We're actually opening it to the public. It has been open to the public, but I think the word hasn't quite gotten around yet. But we've lowered the ticket cost. So this is now the First Look social event. This is your adults only time to come to the auto show. So for $75, you're getting free valet. So you're not paying the NRG parking fee. You're getting valet. You're getting open bar. You're getting appetizers, DJ, photo booths, all kinds of entertainment, and you're getting to experience the auto show before the general public. So I think it's a good time for people that come on Saturday and complain that there's kids sitting in the driver's seat. This First Look social event is the night to come to the auto show.
And I will tell you that it is a very different event than the actual car show itself. Yes, the cars don't move. I got that. But to have all of that food out there and the booze, and it's a high-end event.
Well, it's got a different level of energy, because everybody's there. It's more of a, I don't necessarily want to use party. Maybe social is really the better.
Networking. Well, and the other thing is that there are a lot of dealership people there, sales managers, owners, that sort of stuff. You're going to see the guy from River Oaks Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in his tennis shoes, and I'm sure he'll have some sort of display. But whatever the case may be, all I can tell you is that it is truly a different event, and I would encourage anybody that's watching that they need to really think twice, and perhaps maybe that would be the place to go.
Get a babysitter, date night, step out.
All you can eat and drink for $75. Heck of a deal.
It is, actually. Yeah, you can't get that. You can't get that at Perry's. I'll tell you that. So
that's right.
At $12 a margarita.
That's right. Exactly. All right. Well, that's good. And that's going to be. Is that a Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's going to be Tuesday from 5 to 8. On Tuesday, January 23rd. So get your tickets now so you can access that.
Where do you get the tickets?
HoustonAutoShow.com. We've got a special page dedicated to it. Scroll down, you'll find the image there of a fancy lady with her higher sunglasses on and sipping a martini, which really sets the tone for what
is that you?
Interesting picture.
Did you pose for that picture?
Yeah, that was me. That's all me. I was the inspiration.
I love it. Well, how are things in the office? How's Wyatt doing?
It's the last minute fires of an event. We've got a new ticketing company called Vivenue, and so we're learning all of the back end of that right now. It's a little stressful too, and just all the last minute stuff. But we're really excited. We're going to make the most of this year, and I'm glad this cold front is coming through this week instead of the week of the auto show, so that we can still get some news coverage, and no one's afraid to come out in the sunshine. And it'll be a good week.
So you're getting like Taylor Swift, and you're dumping Ticketmaster, huh?
Oh yeah, had to get rid of all those high fees.
And I think a lot of other people are doing that as well. Yeah. A lot of venues are going away from Ticketmaster. I actually saw an ad.
When you can.
I actually saw an ad for Ticketmaster on the television this morning. I've never seen an ad for Ticketmaster. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a first.
Yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah.
It's better when we can control the ticket pricing too, right? So now you can get your tickets at a discount. You can get them for $17. When you get to the show, it's going to be $20. And, earlier when we put the tickets on sale in November, they were $15. So now we can offer those discounts leading up to the show and then get to our actual ticket price during the event and be able to provide those. With Ticketmasters, we didn't have that adjustability either. So right now, go get your tickets for just $17.
So you're still going to have the same old car displays out there in the lobby?
Yes, we'll have a great classic display. I think we've got about 40 or so classic vehicles inside the show, and then a handful in the lobby. And then we'll also have a lot of custom vehicles this year too. We've got a little special area called Charlie's Customs with about 10 customized vehicles. And we'll have Van Sharks is going to be there with some outfitted Mercedes vans that they customize as well. So lots of fun stuff, unique items this year.
Yeah, Ben Miller's going to join us next week to talk about some of that stuff in a little more detail.
Very nice.
Are they going to have the fishing tank again?
Yes, the boat show will have the bass tub where the professional fisherman is showing you how to cast and unwind your line in the pond, and so that'll be a lot of fun. And then we've got some really great stuff coming on the boat show side too. Some of the most expensive boats out there. There's one that's coming that's nearly $1 million. Pontoons, bass boats, speed boats, all the fun stuff will be there too on the boat show side of things as well.
I look forward to the submarine display.
Oh yeah, submarine display.
Yeah. And we'll keep track of Don so he doesn't cannonball into the fish tank.
Like the guy. Never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Don't even go there. Yeah. Well, we certainly do look forward to it. And so it's going to be HoustonAutoShow.com.
Yes, HoustonAutoShow.com. You can get your tickets and everything that you need there. Check out that First Look social event. Lots of fun to be had.
It's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Wednesday through Sunday, yes. January 24th through the 28th.
Well,
yeah.
Tuesday, if they want to go to
still
preview.
Got the ride drive that's outside.
Yes, we've still got ride and drives outside, ride and drives inside this year too. So that Camp Cheap space, we moved in the ride and drive lounge like we used to have it before. So Ford will be inside, and Evolve Houston. Evolve has got a good lineup of EVs. We've got an ID4, the Lightning, a Polestar, a couple other vehicles in that lane that we'll be doing EV test drive. So if you haven't driven an EV, this is your chance to really feel how they just take off too.
So lots of changes, lots of new stuff going on this year.
Perfect.
Yeah, it should be a fun year to come.
A reason to go.
Well, Rochelle, it's great to talk to you as always, and we look forward to seeing you on that chaotic Saturday morning when we roll in there going, where do you want us to set up?
We'll find a great space for you guys to be live there.
I know that you will. Thank you. Good, best of luck to you. Let us know if we can help in any way.
Same. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Very cool.
Well, you talk about a busy
the bass
lady.
tub.
No kidding.
The bass tub. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't help it.
Yeah. I guess she's going to be moving in there in the next week or 10 days whenever they move their offices
sure
over
they
there
are,
to run this thing.
Yeah. Well, I think they have to start on the weekend before because that only leaves them.
It's going to take them a while to fill the bathtub.
The bathtub. Well, there's that.
Yeah. This is going to be
fun.
Can you imagine?
There's
going to be a lot of new stuff. I'm kind of excited about seeing all the new stuff.
Me too. All right, time now for the race card. Conrad always has the race card for us. And we got the big Daytona race coming up next month.
Yeah, well, 24 hours at Daytona. The next weekend is the Roar before the 24, which is kind of the testing weekend before the 24 hours. And then on the 28th of January is the 24 hours at Daytona. On March 10th is the Gator Nationals. They're going to kick off NHRA with the Gator Nationals. And it was interesting. I hadn't heard anything about what Antron was talking about the Invitational the weekend before. So I guess that's March 3rd.
He just broke that news. It was breaking news.
Yeah.
We need one of those little...
That's 2 weeks before.
Noise things.
That was 2 weeks before.
And then on the 24th of March is going to be the Winter Nationals. So they're going to start in Florida and then drive all the way to California to race again. Going to be a hectic time for all those teams. NASCAR, the Busch Clash is on February 4th.
yeah. Got that going.
And Agreed. Then the Daytona Twin Qualifiers for the Daytona 500 on the 11th, the Daytona 500 on the 18th, and then Atlanta on the 25th, Las Vegas on March 3rd, Phoenix on March 10th, Bristol on March 17th, and then back to Coda on March 24th. Hopefully it won't rain out like it did a couple of years ago.
Antron was talking about trying to get some of the NASCAR drivers over at NHRA, try drag racing. When they get to the end of the track and they can't turn left, what are they going to do?
That's a good question, Mike. I'll be sure and ask that question.
But, some of them are already doing that. You've got one of the Bush boys was doing drag racing with Tony. He tried to get a qualifying license.
So he could turn right instead of left at the end of the track.
Whatever.
And then Formula One starts March 3rd at Bahrain, March 10th at Saudi Arabia, and then March 24th in Australia.
Okay, thank you, sir. And time now for Jeff's feature story this week, EV battery disposal. And we don't even think about that.
Yeah, well,
but what happens with the battery when it goes dead?
This all started, I was looking up some information on EV junkyards, but there really aren't any to really discuss. So what happens to the battery pack even though they're used up? Well, you're not supposed to throw certain kind of batteries in the trash, Mike, specifically the couple 100 pounds that you're going to find with an EV. Instead of trashing the batteries, the auto recyclers, which are formerly known as junkyards, they seem to specialize in certain firms dismantling the packs that break them down into different materials. Now, the materials are wires, circuitry, plastics, and the actual cells themselves. The cells and circuits are crushed to separate and purify the various metals in them, including nickel and lithium. And who doesn't like lithium, Mike? Dealerships also dispose of the used hybrid packs responsibly, relying on the same collection process, the junkyards, to dispose of what they have so far as batteries and dismantling procedures. The packs are shipped to a facility specializing in battery disassembly and are recycling the components. Certain parts, Mike, are easy. The steel, the copper, the aluminum. Their scrap metals usually go into the nationwide recycling system. But the plastics, to be recycled, it's a little bit different avenue, a little bit harder to do the recycling of plastics. It's the cells themselves that hold the allure. The most expensive part of the battery is the prize of the lithium, the cobalt, the magnesium, the nickel, and to a lesser extent, the aluminum. The cells are ground up, the resulting material is purified in various ways, and the end process is a pure supply of desired metals. Now, an EV battery pack is assumed to be at the end of its life when it has no more than 70 to 75% of its original capacity. Hitting this mark may take 10 years or more. Even with a quarter or more of the peak capacity gone, aging battery packs still offer plenty of energy, 20 to 90 kilowatt hours or up to 3 days worth of electricity for the average American home. So even if it's dead in the car, it could still produce electricity. The challenge to reuse is particularly difficult because the new cells are dramatically cheaper now, to the point that no longer clear is a model of buying, transporting, repurposing, or reselling used cells from older batteries. Here's the kicker. Demands for batteries will soar in the 2020s and the 2030s as the world's largest car markets, China, North America, Europe continue to transition to EVs, new mining techniques, there's nothing going on. I mean, they're not going to start a new mine just for the batteries. But meanwhile, EV battery metals have come from China when they were first mined. Once a U.S. recycler separates the cells back into their component metals, the new lithium or nickel is now considered to be made in the USA. So you can take a Chinese battery, recycle it, and once you take all those metals and repurpose it, it's now considered made in the USA. So there you go.
So they're using all these precious metals to build the batteries, right? The lithium, all that stuff. But they steal the catalytic converters to get the precious metals out of it. Is anybody stealing the batteries to get the precious metals out?
I think there's more of a challenge with that because you got to take the car apart.
Well, and you may get juiced in the process.
Exactly.
You just think you get under there with a sawzall and just kind of
do that. Do that. Get the sawzall. Yeah, get the sawzall after the battery.
Fried Mars.
Exactly. I want to share this with you. I wish I could share it with you, but I can't right now because I don't have the technology to transfer this picture to what you've got there.
Some of the pictures on your phone are really
we don't want.
I don't know. We want to do all that.
So this is cousin Steve in Stoughton, Wisconsin. This morning, you just sent me that picture.
Oh wow!
Pass that down.
Cousin Steve.
Cousin Steve's in snow that's as deep as his mailbox.
Well, I mean, look at the snow on the bird bath, and that tells you how much snow that they got last night. Look at that. It's over a foot. Golly.
And that's why I live in South Texas.
That's it. Well,
but you live in Nederland.
That's right. Yeah. Do we call that South Texas?
Southeast Texas.
I see.
No, that's
It's on the right-hand side of Texas.
West Louisiana.
On the right side.
West Louisiana.
You get over there close to the Blue Swamp. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Mars. We're not trying to make. Yes, we are trying to make fun.
It's only a Blue Swamp because the Total keeps dumping all that stuff in there.
It's the glow at night that really sets it off.
And it truly does glow. I've come over that Sunshine or Rainbow Bridge or whatever that thing is, and the whole town.
Oh, well, now there's
glows.
a toxic dump out there.
It's a
the Groves.
Yeah, it's a waste site.
No, it's on the Bridge City side.
By the way, Jack Nerad is listening to this.
I hope not.
And yes, he is. He's listening to this right now, and I'm sure he's got a big smile on his face going,
no, he doesn't.
Where the hell does he live? Yeah, there's that. So, at any rate, Jack Nerad's coming up here in a couple of minutes, so we invite you to stay tuned for that. And we're going to talk about NACTOY, the North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards.
Jack is our secret agent for NACTOY, but he never gives us any secrets.
Yeah, he doesn't give up any secrets. Yeah, there's that. Hey, I want to remind you that the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream our 3-hour weekly show on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. And podcasts are at your favorite podcast provider. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after these fast messages.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The Original Group of Lupi Tortilla Restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The Original Group of Lupi Tortilla Restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. Podcasting and streaming worldwide. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, author and award-winning automotive journalist Jack Nerad joins us to talk about the winners of NACTOY, the North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards. Conrad's going to have the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and we'll have this week's automotive news. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks for joining us this morning. And live from L.A., Hollywood. We're just going to say Hollywood because everybody else from Hollywood. It's not in Hollywood.
Hollywood Jack?
The Hollywood Jack. Jack, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, well, I first lived in Burbank, and, you know, Johnny Carson came from beautiful downtown Burbank, but they called it Hollywood, so you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Wow, first time.
I've been there,
right.
and actually, did you ever go to the Tonight Show?
I did, actually. You know, I wrote some material for a comedian who was on the Tonight Show. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool, yeah.
That was way back in the day. That
well,
was,
I will tell you,
in the 80s.
Yes.
Lenny Bruce?
No.
Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
I did write for Rodney Dangerfield, actually.
Did you?
Wow.
But that was not...
but you can't get any respect.
Yeah.
No respect.
I still don't. Yeah.
So, how are
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are things out there in L.A. this morning?
A little chilly, actually. We had about 44 degrees when I got up with the dog at 4 in the morning, and I think it's up to maybe 45 or 50 right now.
Oh, wow.
Wow, so it's chilly
What's
out there,
going
too.
on?
That's
Yeah, a
unusual.
little cool here.
Yeah, exactly. And,
I hear you're in for single digits, though, or something like that.
Well, the wind chill factor is on Monday supposed to be in the single digits.
And somebody will turn all the electricity off when that happens.
Each one of us has a single digit.
That's when the electrical grid fails, when we need it the most. That's another story unto itself. We could have a whole another show
just on weather.
Talking about the weather and the grid. Anyway. That's not what we talked to you this morning about. Congratulations on another successful year in the North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards. And we thought we'd get your take on it. And how many categories are there, Jack?
There are 3 big categories, actually. There's Car of the Year, Truck of the Year, and then Utility of the Year, which is our newest category. I think we added it about 10 years or so ago. And we added it because sport utility vehicles were lumped in with trucks typically, and they're very different animals, right? So kind of didn't make sense to have one or the other, so we decided to have both.
Although many of those used to be based on, for the most part, car chassis, car bits underneath them.
Well, and some had truck chassis too, and
That's right.
you know, they were passenger vehicles. Trucks meant to tote stuff typically, although there's plenty of people who are using them just as passenger cars these days. But sport utility is meant to haul people mostly, and so 2 different tasks. So we decided to switch it off.
Were there any runner-ups, or just 3 awards: car, truck, and utility?
There were 9 finalists, 3 in each category. So there were essentially 2 runners-up in each category.
I got you.
And then the winner.
Well, just the 3 that are nominated for each category. I mean, that's bragging rights in itself.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like an Oscar nomination, right? I mean, it's great to win the Oscar, but if you were nominated, that means you're being recognized by a lot of folks as top notch, and So being one of the top three in any of these categories is a terrific honor.
And how many people voted for these winners?
Our jury consists of 50 members. We keep it to 50. They're mostly from the United States. We have about half a dozen or so who are from Canada. Obviously, they're a much smaller country in terms of population than we are. And all auto experts from different fields. There's some enthusiast writers, some industry writers, some people like me who are in broadcast media in addition to writing. So a nice combination of folks.
Yeah, well, that's good. And so does everybody have a vote per category?
They have the same sway, let's put it that way. The way we do it is we, depending on what level we're at, whether we're voting for finalists or semifinalists, we have a different procedure where you get X number of essentially votes you can apportion to various cars. So in the finals, I could have apportioned 10 points to my top car or split up that 10 points, in any way I wanted, 6-3-1, something like that.
Yeah. Did you do that? Have you ever taken
that?
Did you ever take your whole 10 points and say that's the one and that's all?
I have.
Stuffing the ballot box.
And when I thought what one absolutely deserved to be the car of the year, be the winner, I would give them all of my 10 points. This time around, it was a little more nuanced, so I spread the points around a little bit.
And what do you mean by nuanced?
Well, I think when you look at, say, the car of the year field, okay, you had the Hyundai Ioniq 6, which happened to be World Car of the Year last year. You have the Honda Accord, which is a really, really good car. Maybe not particularly exciting, but they've done a marvelous job with that car, especially at the price. And then you had the winner, the Toyota Prius and Prius Prime, which are undoubtedly the best hybrids and plug-in hybrids as cars ever. So you really have a nice combination. And personally, I really like both the Accord and the Prius, and so I split my votes mostly between those two vehicles.
Interesting. And when you really had your eye set on the winner, how did that play out with all of the other journalists? Did they kind of go along, not that they knew what your vote was, but did they kind of feel the same way?
I think a lot of times, yes. I think a couple of years ago, the mid-engine Chevy Corvette was our car of the year. And a little bit of, off the beaten track for us because we typically choose vehicles that are very mainstream, that are, every person kind of cars as opposed to a Corvette. Corvette is kind of borderline there. I mean, it is an incredible value for what you pay for it, but it's a more expensive car than the typical person is going to pay for a car.
Yeah, I assume, and I would do the same thing. I would assume that you would go for probably the biggest seller car. At least, what is it that really strikes me as an overall value and really a good-looking package?
Hero,
yeah, like a Camry or something, like an Accord or something like that more people would buy than, say, for instance, a Corvette.
Yeah, that figures into it pretty significantly, and you see that. I mean, Prius is a pretty high-volume car. Certainly, the Accord is a very high-volume car. Another thing that's important, too, is we like to pick vehicles that we believe are going to be the segment leader. And that really came into play on Truck of the Year, where we chose the Ford Super Duty. The other contenders are good vehicles. There were two Chevys, actually, the Chevy Silverado EV and the Chevy Colorado, which is, a really good midsize truck. But to our mind, or to my mind anyway, the Ford Super Duty is the segment leader. It is the segment leading heavy duty truck, whereas Colorado's good, but I don't know that it's better than the upcoming Toyota Tacoma, for example, or some of the others in the segment.
So has NACTOY had any consideration about having maybe a subcategory for the EVs? Because in what I'm seeing in your 9 finalists, the 3 per category, there's an intermingling of EVs, and actually in the utility vehicle of the year, all 3 of them were EVs.
Right. I mean, we consider EVs, and we've considered having separate categories, but our thinking was number one, we want to keep it very tight. You could name 10, 12 vehicles something of the year,
right?
But that would diminish the value of, I think, the car of the year.
I agree with you. I agree with you totally. Yes, wholeheartedly. Because
well, go ahead, Don.
No, I'm just going to say, because in the end, it's a vehicle that gets you from point A to point B, no matter what engine you choose. And to me, at least at this point in my life, when I look at all of the vehicles out there, you may like the EV, you may like the plug-in, Jeff likes the gasoline motor, and I like the gasoline motor. So, there's parity in that to me.
Yeah, and we feel that vehicles have to compete against one another. EVs have to compete against gasoline cars and have to compete against hybrids. And, some vehicles, the Hyundai Kona, for example, comes in a couple of different flavors, right? And that works to their advantage. The fact that the Prius is both available as a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid, I think, worked to its advantage and probably was the deciding factor.
Interesting, yes. And that would be kind of like, let me think about that for a minute. So there's the plug-in hybrid and the true hybrid, and I'm going, I'm thinking I'm going to go with the hybrid myself. At this point in my life, that's what I'm going to go with because of the ease of getting the battery charged.
And the distance.
Yeah.
Lack of range.
And I'm sure that those kind of factors play into the voting as well, John?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The good thing about a plug-in hybrid is you can operate it as a electric vehicle until the battery is spent, and then you have that gasoline motor essentially as your lifeboat to save you when that's gone. A lot of people can get by probably operating it as an electric vehicle for around town errands or fairly short commutes, that kind of thing, ad infinitum, right? But then when they want to go to grandma's house, in West Texas or something like that, it's a whole different thing. And yet they don't have the issues they would have if they had a pure EV.
Yeah. Well, and where you are out in California, I know that there's a lot more support, technically speaking, with chargers. They're much more plentiful out there. So if you get caught a little bit short on your charge on your plug-in hybrid or your plug-in electric, you find a place that you can plug it in and get charged. Whereas if you're going between here and San Antonio, say, that the charging network, just the infrastructure isn't quite there yet and could be a problem if you're going to go on from San Antonio, as you mentioned, to West Texas.
Yeah, it could be very difficult. And, the technology keeps changing. We have a lot of chargers out here, but a lot of them are level 2 chargers. They're not fast chargers. And now the trend, of course, is to fast charging. Nobody wants to sit at a charger for hours and hours or leave their vehicle on a charger for a long period of time. It's onerous enough to be, I think, to sit at a charger for half an hour at a fast charger to get topped off.
And that's where I am right now. I just can't imagine myself having a choice of going, let's see, I can get a car that basically gets 40 miles per gallon of gasoline, and I can put all of that little bit of gasoline in there and go from here to San Antonio and still have gas left over, and with a 5-minute fill up, as opposed to 3 stops between Houston and San Antonio just to get there to keep it charged. There's an hour and a half out of my life.
Plus money, because if you stop, you're going to stop at a Buc-ee's, and you can spend money at
Buc-ee's, or even worse, a Walmart.
Another thing, Jack, it seems like the Hyundai Kia sisterhood has made great inroads in NACTOY. With 5 of them, 4 of them of the 9 were nominated.
Yeah, they just build really good vehicles. I mean, they're engineering stuff that looks great, that is a high value, high quality. It seems like their reliability is quite high. So they've really come a long, long way.
But Jack, to that end, let's talk for just a minute about Asian cars, because obviously that is one. Those are Korean, and as opposed to Japanese, I think that the Japanese, even though it's an Asian car, I think that the Japanese cars seem to have a little bit more quality to them. Do you?
Well, it depends on how you measure quality. And, I talk to the people at J.D. Power a lot, and they measure quality essentially by lack of problem, right?
Yep.
And they also look at reliability by lack of problems, but just over a longer period of time. Some of those problems are they're not anything mechanical or technical, something really that's gone wrong. They revolve around people not understanding how to use something. Infotainment systems are key. And then you have issues with connecting Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You guys probably all experienced that. Anybody who does car testing has had
yes,
snafus with Apple CarPlay connection, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
And that's counted as a problem. That's not necessarily. It's not going to strand you by the side of the road.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't discount.
But it's irritating.
Yeah, you can't discount the loose nut behind the wheel.
True enough. Absolutely.
And you're speaking to one right here.
There's probably 5 of us on this panel, right?
No, that's it. So, Jack, what is the car of the year?
The car of the year is the Toyota Prius.
The Toyota Prius. The non-plug-in Toyota Prius.
Well, actually, both.
Prius and Prime.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Prius and Prime.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. And the truck is the Chevy Heavy Duty?
No, Ford Super
Ford
Duty.
Super Duty.
Ford Super Duty.
Gotcha.
Right.
That'd be the 250.
250, 350.
250 on up.
Yeah. On up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the utility?
The utility is the Kia EV9. The first, kind of affordable 3-row electric vehicle.
I don't believe that I've had an EV9. Have you had one of those, Mars? You haven't? You need to turn your microphone on.
Good looking car. I've seen them. I've not.
Have you driven? Obviously, you've driven it. Jack, what do you think? Obviously,
I have.
a lot.
I have driven it. There's absolutely a ton to like about it. In fact, that it's a 3-row is really a breakthrough. It's essentially on the same platform as the EV6. It's taller. It's about the same length, but they wedge in a third row that's a fairly reasonable third row. I think when the third row is being used, it doesn't have a ton of cargo space behind the third row. It is certainly not the equivalent of a full-size conventional SUV, 3-row SUV, but it's absolutely a step in that direction, and I think it's going to be very, very important. And Kia looks at it as their flagship of their EV line, the way that they look at the Telluride as the flagship of their gasoline line.
Yeah. And did it feel heavy?
It actually feels pretty good. I think the saving grace, as you guys know, with electrics is the instant torque, right?
Yeah, right.
So they are heavy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's at least 1,000 pounds of battery, I've got to believe, under the floorboards there. And you kind of feel that. But I think I've maybe come to terms with that a little bit. And I think they're doing a better job of making that less obtrusive.
Jack, it's always great to talk to you. We thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy that warm California sunshine today, just for us.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll try and get outside.
All right. Well, and so when are we going to talk to you next?
Well, as soon as you want me. I always enjoy talking to you guys, so it's a real pleasure for me. I'll do it anytime.
Thank you, Jack. We appreciate you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds terrific. You guys have a great day. Thanks.
You too.
Thank you.
Conrad's Car Clinic.
Boy.
What is the clinic today?
Well, we're going to talk about what makes gasoline good or bad.
Okay.
Varnish
is bad.
Well, varnish is a result of the gasoline not burning properly. But, we're all familiar with different octane ratings of gasoline. When you pull up to the gas pump, you can choose 87, 89, 92, 93 fuel. And all those different octane ratings are available at most gas stations. The higher the octane rating is, or often referred to as premium fuel, is all about controlling detonation in the engine. A premium fuel does not necessarily burn cleaner than a regular fuel, and premium fuel is purely about octane. So the value of it, you've got to look at what your manufacturer requirement is for the octane reading for the vehicle that you drive. So if it's a high compression engine, turbocharged or supercharged engine, most probable it's going to call for a premium fuel because they want to control detonation in those engines. That spark knock can be pretty damaging to an engine. So the quality of gasoline, the average cost of a new car today is somewhere around $48,000, not counting for the EVs. With a price point nearing $50,000, it only makes sense that you do everything possible to take good care of your vehicle. That includes filling the tank with a high-quality gasoline. The worst gasoline brands in the nation are top tier fuel. You got to remember, top tier fuels were something that were come around in about 1995 when Audi, BMW, GM, Honda, Toyota, and Volkswagen all went to the fuel industry, the gasoline industry, and said, look, we need a fuel that has a higher content of deposit cleaning agents to keep the injectors, combustion chambers, and intake systems clean. So those manufacturers, those fuel manufacturers came out with what's called top tier. And there's a list for top tier fuels, and I'm going to post it on our social media.
Valero, Exxon, Shell.
Yeah, Valero, Exxon, Shell, Texaco, let's see, Costco, Diamond Shamrock, Gulf, Marathon, Mobil, Phillips 66, Arco 76, Citgo. Those are all top tier fuels.
Citgo's Venezuelan.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, if I may just jump in here, to say to you, there was a fueling station called the Fuel Depot that I used to get fuel at. It is down off of Main Street. And the guy had pulled the truck in there. And he just finished, and I didn't really care if it got dirt in the in the fuel system or not. But at any rate, I asked him, I said, because there's no label on the side of the tanker. I said, so where'd you get the fuel? Oh, over in Pasadena. I said, no. What brand of fuel is it? Oh, I can't tell you that. I said, come on, man. Of course you can. It was Conoco. It was Conoco fuel. Now, that's got additives in it.
Yep, Conoco is a top-tier brand.
So it was a top-tier brand, but they didn't advertise that on the Fuel Depot place.
No.
You didn't know that you were buying Conoco fuel.
And Sam's Club does the same thing. Sam's Club may be buying fuel, and Kroger's may be buying fuel from different vendors. So kind of the top tier kind of comes in and goes out, but it's not considered top-tier fuel.
Well, you were talking about the Costco fuel. You mentioned it. Costco doesn't do their own refining, do they?
No. But the vendor who provides them with their fuel is always a top tier fuel provider.
Okay.
So you got to think, a lot of those are, a station, an independent station. They buy their fuel from whoever their fuel wholesaler
I wonder what Buc-ee's is.
Well, Buc-ee's wasn't on the list at all.
Beaver Nuggets.
And my point too is, your car calls for a certain octane rating. Get that octane rating. If you want longevity without having issues with the car, get a top tier fuel. And all of that relates back to the better you take care of your car, the longer it's going to last. Those who are not top tier fuels are BP is not top tier, which surprised me. I figured BP would be. Circle K is not. Speedway. Amco is not, Love's is not, Murphy's, Pilot J, Safeway, and Sam's Club is intermittently top tier, but not consistently top tier.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So there's a reason why that fuel is slightly cheaper than what you see at the Shell, right? What you see at the Shell in Texaco.
Water is the additive.
Is that the fuel truly is cheaper because they don't have the higher content of deposit cleaning agents.
Well, I have to tell you that I filled up the Corvette last weekend.
Right.
With the 93 octane Exxon. $50. $50.
Well, welcome to my world. It's been costing me about $60 to fill the Yukon up.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm buying big expensive fuel for the Corvette, so I baby that thing.
You need an Oklahoma credit card. That's a siphon.
A siphon. Oh gosh. But yeah, top tier fuels do make a difference, and I highly recommend if you're going longevity on your vehicles to use top tier fuels. May cost you a little bit in the short run, but it'll save you money in the long run.
Hertz Global Holdings plans to sell a third of its U.S. electric vehicle fleet and reinvest in gasoline-powered cars due to weak demand for the battery-powered options. The sales of 20,000 EVs began last month and will continue over the course of 2024, the retail giant said Thursday in a regulatory filing. Hertz expects a record a non-cash charge in its fourth quarter, results of $245 million related to incremental net depreciation expense.
That's how much they're losing.
The company expects to reinvest a portion of the proceeds from the sale of EVs into the purchase of internal combustion engine vehicles to meet customer demand, Hertz said. The company expects this action to better balance supply against expected demand of EVs. Hertz shares were down 4.2% to $8.95 when the market closed Thursday. The stock declined 32% last year.
Can I add something to that? They're mainly 21 and 22 models, and they're high mileage. That's the main thing. They're like above 50,000.
On the EVs?
On the EVs, they're high mileage EVs, and they're 21, 22 models.
And you got to think, people don't treat rent cars well.
No. Are you serious?
Surely you jest.
Who sent the video? What do you guys send?
I sent you the video.
That was just hilarious.
During the week, I sent Conrad some videos of people that have misused their cars. I like the ones where they weld things, poorly welded things, to the engine block, suspension parts, exhaust systems. It's like, how do you even think of stuff like that?
Well, I'll go all the way back to 1965 or 66 when Hertz was selling the Shelby.
The Mustangs.
Shelby GT350H, and people would rent it for the day, take it home, pull the 306 horsepower 289 out, put a regular one in, send it back to Hertz. Genius.
It was. Yes. By the way, we didn't get a chance to get to Hemmings Sold Cars Roundup, but I got one for Jeff here. A 1968 Chrysler Town & Country wagon. There it is. Guess how much that beauty went for with the wood siding?
Wood vinyl?
$10,878.
I was thinking like 14, but that's...
Here's one for you, Jeff. A 41 Cadillac 62 red convertible. Look at that beauty.
It's gorgeous.
$36,700.
A 41.
A 41
unusual
Cadillac.
Because there were very, very few 41s.
Have you been watching the Mecum? I watched maybe 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
There was a 69 Corvette convertible, and it went for $400,000. Why?
Yeah.
Well, there was also I think that was a custom. There was also a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass that went for $100,000.
And you look at those, and I just saw that run by last year. The last Mecum.
By the way, and I have a car for Mars.
Oh, yay!
This one's for you, Mars. It's a 1983 Chrysler LeBaron.
Oh, gosh.
With Corinthian leather?
No, but it's got wood siding on it. And
it's still in the crate.
No, it's a convertible, and it's sold for $7,500. That's for you. We're going to wrap up today's In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show after a quick break. We'll be right back.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Loopy Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Loopy Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere.
Well, that's it for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Here's your invitation. You see it? Follow us on Facebook. Give us a like. Tell your friends about us and share our stuff if you would. We'll keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including award-winning interviews, new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing, and car, truck, and SUV goodies. Hey, when you need a car fix during the week, you can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 via the iHeartRadio app. We live stream this show on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available from your favorite streaming provider. We post a new episode every day. The In Wheel Time Marketing Advertising Advisor and Video Technical Director is We Always Need More Jeff Zekin. For Booking Agent, Do It All and IT Connoisseur, Mr. Mike Mars.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Know-It-All, His Royalty, King Conrad DeLong, and Chief Engineer David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. We hope you'll join us for another live, award-winning production of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show next Saturday, January 20th, on all of our In Wheel Time Car Talk outlets. Have a great weekend. Stay warm out there. The Arctic blast blows in on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go Texans.